Hello, everyone. Michael Jordan fans are the best. And today we're going to be talking about the amazing comeback of Michael Jordan to NBC and the playoffs. But first, before we get into that, first I want to say I'm happy to be back and see all of you here on the panel, all of you here that are in the audience right now as we get into another Sunday Live. And before we get into that, let's welcome the panel. NMB Sports, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here as always.
We've got 93 Zay, who's been on the Sunday panel for some time, but I have yet to host. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate y'all, and good morning, everybody.
We've got Scap Attack. Welcome back, sir. How are you?
Dart, I'm doing well. Welcome back to you. Glad to be here. Glad to be back. Glad to have you back. Hello to everybody already in the comments area. Welcome in, and looking forward to a nice Sunday panel with a big Game 7 looming here.
We all know it might not get so nice with the contentious history of Robin and Scap. But Robin, how are you today, sir?
Oh, man, once again, it's great to be back on a Sunday. You talked about Michael Jordan coming back, but we must welcome back my man Dart. Michael Jordan fans are the best. Yo, shout out to Dart once again for coming back, man. It's great to have you back. And once again, we're blessed with my man Scap Whitlock. He's blessed us with his presence on the Sunday panel after a long layoff. It's good to see my man Scap out here. My man Hoop God is in the building. We got Zay blessing us. We got my man NNB Sports. You guys know the deal, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Yo, I got my Knicks gear on, man. You guys know the deal, man. Let's roll.
And we got Hoop God. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Dart, welcome back, man. We missed you, man. Enjoying these playoffs, like seeing good, thorough basketball. We're seeing ball movement, player movement. We're seeing physicality. Shout out to the commissioner for bringing back some of the old school physicality. I'm loving it, man. And now we got the all-important Game 7. I know Scap is over there sulking right now, but I said, Scap, keep the hope alive. They could pull it off. I mean, come on, man. Jokic is your guy. I'm disappointed. Like, he may pull it off, right? And shout out to my guy, Nick, with the Cooper flag sweepstakes. Y'all lost Luka, but look what you picked up. Come on.
Rigged.
We should, as much as people say it's rigged, we should have known, and we should have told people to put money on the Mavs to get the #1 pick. Looking back, it was so obvious.
After they rigged it, yeah. After they sent Luka to LeBron just to
right. As soon as Luka left, we should have said
NBA rankings. Yeah, we should have known.
Of course, the Mavs are going to get the #1 pick. Like, that's the only way any of this makes sense.
Also, we got AOH coming in. He stopped in for a second. I don't know if he's having issues with his phone, but he should be here in the near term. Nick, why do you think Michael Jordan came back, and what do you think is the effect of that, of him coming back?
I think he came back because he's probably bored. That's my only, Jordan stays out of the light. It really makes no logical sense why he would do this. He doesn't come off as a guy who thinks he has anything left to prove. I think he's very protective of his legacy, right? So to come back on TV is a risk, in my opinion, especially in today's modern world, right? So he must have been bored. They made the right offer, $40 million a year. I'm not sure how long the contract is, but he's being paid more than Tom Brady. That probably had a little bit to do with it. But yeah, I'm just going to say he was bored. That's really the only logical answer I can come up with. My tinfoil hat tells me that LeBron is going to be retiring in the next year or two, and maybe they think to couple Jordan and LeBron in some way, right? Maybe Jordan being able to talk on LeBron. And of course, NBC just made a massive investment, I think, into some NBA contracts, right? Some NBA media contracts. So this is probably a double down on that investment a little bit as well. So that's what I think is going on personally.
93 Zay, what's your thoughts on this?
I think Jordan is back to shit on the fanboys. I mean, I would come back for $40 million. Would you?
Yeah, that's a
40
lot of
million to take a dump on the fanboys. You see Shannon Sharp kind of changing his tune. Certain people are changing their tune a little bit on Michael Jordan. Now they know that he's coming back. They might have to sit in the room where Michael Jordan is. So, you definitely got to pretend like you weren't taking a dump on him over the past 10, 15 years. So that's my opinion.
Scap, what do you got to say about this?
Yeah, I think Zay hit it on the nail on the head there. Money. Obviously, he's coming back for money, and it's not a lot of work here. We don't know exactly what the parameters of the arrangement is with NBC. What it specifically his job is going to entail is probably going to be like 30, 40 minutes a week. I would guess something along those lines. Tom Brady is making, I think, $30 million a year to broadcast one game a week in the NFL. Maybe a couple, in totality, 20 games, maybe that Tom Brady broadcasts. He's making over $1 million per game. Like, he doesn't need the money either. Neither of these guys need the money, but it's a lot of damn money and for not a lot of work. So, I mean, why not? What else exactly is Michael Jordan doing at this point? I think he's 62 years old now. He's old, but not that old. He still has several years left of life left in him. And you can only play so many rounds of golf and count your money for so long. Might as well get out and do something. And I think it's going to be compelling. I think it's going to be a ratings boom for NBC. And I think pretty much everybody's going to be tuning into that amid all of the dwindling ratings, the subpar viewership that we've seen in recent years. I think you can guarantee that whenever and whatever it is that Michael Jordan's doing, if it involves him discussing basketball, people are going to be tuning in probably more than they're going to be tuning in to see games. So that probably will stoke his ego too a little bit. Like, what if Jordan has some little half an hour show once a week and that gets, more viewing, more rating, higher ratings than any other game that airs all year in the NBA. So I think it's just a combination of things, but primarily it's about the money. He's just got a lot of money, and kudos to the GOAT. He deserves it.
I'm not sure if there's enough rounds of golf and gambling you can do, but I agree at large. Anyway, Robin, what are your thoughts on this?
Come on, guys. Listen, man. Michael Jordan is not bored, man. Michael Jordan has his own racing team. He's got other things, other ventures going on, man. It's Michael Jordan, guys. Let's understand it off the jump. That's number one. When you guys talk about the money, you guys are right. It's a lot of money, but let's be very, 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 very clear here. Michael Jordan, $40 million is pocket change to this man. Pocket change, guys. This man is getting so much money from everything that he touches, like Scap mentioned. What this is really about is the optics. This is about the ratings, like Scap mentioned. Once you throw Michael Jordan's name and you attach it to NBC, bang, all of a sudden, all the ears are perked. Everyone's eyes is open. Look at us. We're all talking about it. People are getting all excited. You start thinking about the old theme song to the NBC games. This is what it's really about, all right? Because Michael Jordan, like you just said, everything that he's around, everything he touches basically sells, man. It turns to gold. So that's ultimately what this is about. They're using Michael Jordan's name. And like I said, they're enticing him to do this with the money. But we all know he doesn't necessarily need that money. But I don't believe that Michael Jordan is necessarily, bored or doesn't have anything to do. And that's why he's doing it. But like I think you guys mentioned also, I think we're on a wait and see with this. Because, like you said, Scap, like you mentioned earlier, Nick, we don't really know like the exact details of what Michael Jordan's going to exactly be doing, because like you said, what if we find out that Michael Jordan's actually going to be in the booth during games? Like, even if he's only doing one game a month or something like that, but he's actually going to be in the booth for a game, or he might be a guest on one of those shows like you mentioned. All of a sudden, everyone's going to be in tune to that game. That's going to be the highest rated game of the season because Michael Jordan is in the booth during that game. So I think ultimately this is, once again, Michael Jordan having to save the NBA because someone like LeBron James can never ultimately do this.
Hoop Guy, what are your thoughts?
Okay, I had to connect to my phone, so am I clear now?
I can hear
Yes,
you
sir.
loud and clear.
Yep.
Okay. So let me piggyback off my guy 93 Zay. Not only is he coming back to run the circus fanboys out of town and out of media, but he coming to put belt to ass to all their narratives. Like, hearing all the nonsense that they just inundate us with is like, yo, are y'all really trying to convince people that this is how basketball is being played? Like, man, get out of here. But when I'm hearing that MJ's coming back, I believe Adam Silver also played a part in that. But think about it. Look how they're letting these guys play in the playoffs, right? It's kind of getting that old school feel back, right? Now you bring Michael Jordan back to NBC with the theme music. You know people are going to be anticipating it. So the way they're promoting it, I think it's like genius level marketing. You got the GOAT coming back. Everybody's waiting on him. And then, like Scott mentioned, the whole thing with LeBron possibly retiring, and it's going to combat the Mind the Blame podcast, because I don't think anybody with a shred of common sense would listen to this particular individual trying to break down basketball. Like, bro, you got 6 finals losses. What can you tell us about bettering the game and executing in those pivotal moments? I mean, come on, man, stop. But yeah, I like the fact that MJ's coming back at this particular time and space, because it's going to be a breath of fresh air. Like the things that we've all said for the last 2 years, he's basically going to come out and confirm it. So it's like, okay, are y'all going to tell us we don't know basketball? Y'all going to listen to Nick Wright and Shannon Sharp and Brian Windhorst? Or are you going to argue with Michael Jordan, a guy with 2 3-peats and undefeated in the finals? I mean,
AOH is trying to get in here. AOH is trying to get in here, as you see, but I'm gonna get my take real fast with it. I think the reason why Michael Jordan came back is because I don't particularly think it's because of the money. I think that's sugar on top. He's a billionaire. $40 million is great, and I don't think he's going to do much other than show up and possibly interview people or have conversations with people during pivotal parts of the playoffs or nationally televised games to promote rivalries. But the whole reason why he's there, in my opinion, is that he understands that the NBA is floundering for how it's been promoted over the last 20 years. And I think that he is just trying to be a good steward of the game in his older age and in his early 60s at this point. I think at this point, he understands that the NBA, the game that has got him all of his fame and his fortune for a large part of it, needs help. And period, it does need help. I think that's why he's doing it ultimately, is because he wants to help steward the game moving forward. And why does it matter to a Michael Jordan fan? As like everyone's talking about, it's going to be great to see him come back and put some energy into the NBA, even if he's not the greatest orator or guy that's going to be able to actually sell the game as if he was an MC. The point of it is that it's Michael Jordan, period. So I think that having him back in the air is going to do wonders for the NBA. And I think it's going to take minimal effort from him. Just his presence is going to bring a lot of the mystique and the nostalgia and the marketability of the NBA back.
Here's the thing, real quick. I know Jordan's worth like over $1 billion. 40 million is still 40 million. Like Tom Brady's worth $500 million, and he's 30 million is still a lot. Like there's a reason why, like Matthew McConaughey is doing cologne.
He ain't close to Jordan,
like,
no. Come on, Scott.
He's still incredible. Like money is still money. Like a lot. Like it's still a ton of money. I'm just saying.
Jordan's like $3.5 billion. They're saying his net worth.
Absolutely, though, man. He sells sneakers like Jordan is, man.
I wasn't saying it doesn't mean anything. I'm just saying that sugar on top. I'm just saying that he doesn't really need to do it. I'm not saying Tom Brady really needs to do it too. However, the difference is that Michael Jordan has not been doing it over the last 20 years. So, and Tom Brady retired 2 or 3 years ago for the 8th time or whatever. So.
Hey, making fun of Tom Brady for coming out of retirement, like that's kind of like Jordan came out of retirement multiple times too. All right.
Yeah.
But Michael Jordan might be able to hold these guys to a standard, though. Like like you were saying, hoop guy, like, is he going to be able to hold these other guys accountable? Like just him walking in the building, is that going to be like when he played the game? Getting the most out of everybody around him. I feel like that's what he does. Like I mentioned, he has his own race car team. Like. When I'm talking about that, I'm talking about the time and effort that he puts into that. You can see a lot of this stuff is on social media, how much time and effort Michael Jordan spends on that race car team, man. It actually matters to him. It's like, it's basically his hobby now. Also, he fishes. I don't know if people realize that. He's like a competitive fisher. There's a lot of things that Michael Michael Jordan is doing on the side. So that's all I'm saying. Like when you think about Michael Jordan, instead of walking in the building, is he going to start holding someone like Reggie Miller more accountable to stop saying some of the nonsense that we hear Reggie Miller say on the microphone, man? Is he going to start holding some of these other guys, you know, to a standard, Kendrick Perkins and some of these other fools that we see out here talking basketball?
If I had to guess, he's probably going to do a once a week show like Charles and the guys on TNT. If I had to guess, that I would think he probably does a once a week. He's in like a booth. He comments before the game, halftime, and post game, and then he's out.
So to answer your question, I just believe his presence is gonna, that to me is gonna psychologically like make them be accountable, because they're gonna know, okay, Reggie Miller, you played against this guy. So this nonsense that you're trying to kick out here, like, come on, man, stop. Like, just stop the nonsense, man. Like, yeah, he gonna raise everybody's level of accountability now, because we don't want to hear about, oh, well, he had a triple double. Who cares? Did you win?
Someone mentioned it. Jordan having to do promos for gambling sites is going to be pretty funny.
Hey, it'll be marketable.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty funny.
Once again, Michael Jordan's afforded luxuries that regular people can't. He could gamble. He'll be all right.
Yeah.
All right. Marvin Johnson has super chatted somebody for $20. He says, great content. Thanks, Marvin. Appreciate it.
Yo, shout out to
Whatever
Marvin.
LinkedIn.
Yo, thank you very much.
Shout out to Marvin, man.
But yeah, you're talking about the accountability. I think and that's kind of what I was alluding to with just the air of him being in the arena or wherever he is, just associated with the game, because he's been so dislocated or removed from it. I think that a lot of the players are going to look up to him, although some players kind of look of him as if he's in the past. Some people think that LeBron James is the GOAT at this point in respect to the NBA players. However, he's still Michael Jordan, and I think to what all of y'all are saying, I think it's going to have a large effect on them, just for his presence. AOH.
You know, it's similar to like what people say about Kobe Bryant. And like if Kobe was still around, and a lot of the nonsensical things that have been said about, you know, Michael Jordan, and, you know, if Kobe was around, you know, would he have allowed, you know, some of these guys to be so outspoken, you know, without saying something, you know, if he was around. So like I said, now because Michael Jordan's been one of those guys, like Nick mentioned, kind of like, you know, quiet as kept. Don't, you know, people could say whatever they want about him, but he never came out and said anything. He kind of minded his business. Now he's going to be out there.
AOH, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Welcome, AOH. 20 minutes later, what are your thoughts on MJ and his return to the NBA? And how are you?
I'm all right. Sorry about that. I've been in a security loop for 20 minutes. Welcome back, Dart.
Thank you. Thank you.
AOH.
I don't like it. I think he can only hurt himself.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's going to do anything bad. I just think that his reputation, I think that him being quiet has created this aura, this mystery that has been able to withstand the LeBron propaganda. And even if he doesn't say anything wrong, I think that with the LeBron media out there, they will take it and twist it and like just make a headline that says, oh, Jordan said this, and even if he didn't say it. And I just like, maybe he'll be great. Maybe he's doing it as a sacrifice to help the league. But other than like doing it as a sacrifice, I just don't see it really benefiting him personally.
That's kind of how I feel, that if I'm a gambling man, right, I just don't think this juice is worth the squeeze, if that makes sense. Like what, like he was saying, he has such an aura, right? It's such a mystery. What is Jordan? Oh, you actually saw him out. It's actually kind of like a meme whenever you actually even see him out in public at all. You know, he's such a recluse. I also am worried that this is a big risk on his part. You know, it's a huge risk. So
I agree.
That's
what trajectory are we on now? LeBron is only continuing to show people the reality of what he always was. And as Jordan has been able to withstand 22 years of LeBron hype while not even playing, Jordan's only going to continue to go up, and LeBron's only going to continue to go down unless Jordan being involved somehow stimulates the LeBron side of things.
But this is the thing, like we mentioned, we still don't know the parameters of what Michael Jordan's going to be doing. So I agree that Michael Jordan could maybe hurt his legacy, but I don't really see how he really could ultimately, because once again, it's Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's legacy is intact because of the values and the principles that he stands on, the way that he continues to carry himself. So if he's going to hold himself to the integrity and the honor that we know Michael Jordan, does and continues to do, then I don't think we have anything to worry about. When also the other thing, you guys, are feeling, you basically are saying that you don't want Michael Jordan to sacrifice his legacy or whatever you guys are saying for the game that he loves. That sounds ridiculous because Michael Jordan's always talked about how much he loves the game of basketball. So if he's coming back ultimately to help the game of basketball, then I think that Michael Jordan is doing the right thing at the end of the day, man.
It morally, it might be the right thing for him.
Mhm.
I'm saying it can only hurt him because he doesn't have to say anything wrong. Like I said earlier, I mean, we're living in a world of nonstop lies coming out of Nick Wright and Shannon Sharp's mouths.
Hey, so AOH, I'm trying to remember the interview he had. I think it was with John Thompson, and he asked about his statistical perspective or whatever on the game. And he said it essentially. He was like, he never cared about stats. If I cared about stats, like paraphrasing Michael Jordan, he said, I would never retired. He kept playing to catch Kareem's record or Wilt, whoever. He was like, the only stats that mattered to him was the games you won, the championships you collected. Simple. Because notice, the guy who couldn't catch Michael Jordan had to pivot, had to move the goalposts and start saying, oh, well, yeah, I'm the all-time leading scorer, and I'm a pass. You're not a pass-first player, bro. Stop. Just stop. Like, we don't want to hear that nonsense.
All right, let's get to some of these super chats, and then let's move on to Scap's favorite player and team, the Nuggets. At least to talk about on this show. So Cameron Peterson super chats for 2 Canadian Monopoly dollars. That says, we need Magic, Larry, and MJ on a TNT-like show. I don't know where it's going to, but thank you, Cameron Peters.
I'll watch that for sure.
That would be, I think that would get the most views, to be honest.
They need to get Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen on a one-on-one, man, on the show.
Yeah, Cameron Peterson, thank you for the 2 Canadian dollars. And it's not Monopoly money. Sorry about that. That was kind of mean. Mr. Shanny. I was playing with Monopoly dollars where I was last time, but that's besides the point over the last couple months. Even though that they're real dollars they need also. But Mr. Shanny, in parentheses, someone should cue up the Ed Harris line from The Rock, both here and now the lies stop for $10. Thank you, Mr. Shanny. I guess that's you're saying that's Michael Jordan's before he part of his theme song or whatever on whatever show he's doing.
Yo, shout out to Mr. Shannon for coming through and mentioning a movie like The Rock, man. It's a classic movie, man. So shout out to my man for coming through.
Steph, maybe this is Steph Curry. Scap, do you think parity in the league is good?
The league certainly thinks it's good. They've wanted it. They've been fighting for it for years and years and years. And this is one of the craziest second rounds ever, obviously. The Oklahoma City Thunder have been, them or the Celtics have been the overwhelming favorite all year long. So one of those two, and then the Cavs would have been the third. So the 3 by far, I mean, it was those 3 and like a mountainous void between the next odds-on favorite. So, look, we're playing in a Game 7 today. We'll get into it here momentarily. I don't think the Nuggets have any shot, but we're one game away, 48 minutes away from all 3 of those teams going out in the second round. So this is probably the craziest, most parity-driven year in my lifetime. Obviously, the 70s maybe the most parity-driven decade, but yeah, the NBA, this is what they wanted. This is why they installed the severely punitive things with the collective bargaining agreement in terms of salary capping and the apron. So, I mean, I ultimately, look, I like it, but I think the league now regrets it because dynastic teams are more fun and they probably drive ratings more. So it's probably actually in a roundabout way hurting them, even though it's something they've been trying to do for years.
I agree with that. I'm sorry, go Zay.
No, it's sad that this is something that the league has had to do in order to create parity within the league, because they had to It's been 15 years and 2 CBAs until they can finally get this thing under control. LeBron James and Steve Ballmer are the spearheaders in this new collective bargaining agreement that they put out. So I don't know. I think it's good for the league, but we're gonna miss those dynasties for sure.
You know what I was thinking about parity the other day was that by the end of Jordan's career, I was actually cheering for the Jazz. I wanted the Jazz. I wanted Malone and Stockton to get one. And then I realized, you know what? We don't know what's best, and it's good that we don't always get what we want. So like this idea that we should have parity and the league might be helping there be parity, or because fans wanted parity, you shouldn't always cater to the fans. You know, they're not always right. Like I wasn't right. I'm glad the Jazz didn't get the ring now. I mean, I feel bad for Malone and Stockton, but that's not the way it was supposed to go down. They weren't good enough to take down Jordan, and that's the way history should be, whether we wanted parity or not.
Yeah, but hold on. I don't think just because there was a dynasty does means that there wasn't parity. Because once again, it wasn't as if there were only 2 teams going to the championship every year. The Bulls were going against different teams in the Eastern Conference Finals all the time. There were different teams rising up in the Western Conference repeatedly. I mean, think about how many 60-win teams there were in the 90s. There were a lot of really good teams that didn't make the NBA Finals, and it wasn't just because there wasn't necessarily parity. When we talk about the 70s and people mention parity, because, you know, different teams won multiple championships, and I get all of that. But just because it's a dynasty doesn't necessarily mean there wasn't parity in the league. To me, the 90s had a lot of balance. That's why the 90s, to me, was so popular, because there were a lot of really great teams. But no, yes, you're right. A lot of great teams didn't win. But we often talk about why. Because Michael Jordan raised his level of play. It wasn't his fault that he was so great. Because once again, now we're trying to say that the league was watered down and it was Michael Jordan's team and everyone else wasn't that really good when we're talking about not having parity in the league, man. When we're talking about a dynasty.
Yeah, and that's, you kind of took the words out of my mouth, Robin, is that people use this term parity as if the NBA sucks otherwise versus whatever dynastic team is on top of the league. And I think that's just recency bias, where people are trying to promote things like LeBron's legacy on why he's the greatest of all time. LeBron's the greatest of all time because he couldn't beat all these other great players. I think it's nonsensical. I don't think it follows up with the realism of today's NBA or even the years of past, even within the 70s. Just because there wasn't a dynasty, a standalone dynasty during that decade, doesn't mean that there weren't fantastic teams. You had the New York Knicks, the Boston Celtics, you had the Bullets. There was a lot of fantastic teams during that era. It just because there wasn't one doesn't mean that that it was the most well-rounded. It was just about results. It's not about talent.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying the exact opposite. I'm agreeing with you guys, because like the second and third rounds back then, even on each side, were probably better than today's finals are. I mean, all those teams were great. They just couldn't get over the Michael Jordan hump.
So
they weren't good enough. They were good. They were fantastic. I'm not saying they weren't good. They just couldn't take down Michael.
So I look at it like this, right? When I hear, like you said, Dart, Nick Wright, and all these other goofy fanboys in the media, I'm looking and I'm like, okay, so which one is it? Because first you'll say, oh, well, Michael Jordan dominated an expansion era, yada yada, whatever. But LeBron has had the worst teams with the worst records. If you go look this up on Land of Basketball, 5 of those weak Eastern Conference teams are in the top 10. That's in his era, not Michael Jordan. And as a matter of fact, none of Michael Jordan's Eastern Conference teams are in the top 15, but we're not going to talk about that. They'll say, oh, well, Michael Jordan dominated the expansion era that featured Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway, who made it to the finals in their third season together. The Miami Heat, who eclipsed the 60-win threshold in 97. So I'm just thinking, like, which narrative are we going to go with? Because if you're going to tell me LeBron had to face all of this elite competition, well, How come he only beat 150-win team his first 7 seasons? Like, it's not adding up because I'm thinking, like, are you going in with the Kareem narrative with the 70s? Or you're just going to say, well, Michael Jordan didn't play anybody. You can't have it both ways. It's like they want to have it both excuses for whichever narrative that they want to run with. But I'm like, okay, so Michael Jordan beat his competition. That made him the GOAT. But LeBron losing to his competition, we have to say competition matters. Okay, he has to beat them in order for him to put himself in that category. But if you lose to them, now I'm looking like, okay, well, what about the issue with Dirk? Dirk went against 3 superstars and took them down, while LeBron can't do it. I don't know.
Yo, I did the numbers on this, man. If you go and check the numbers, you want to talk about parity and balance? If you go and check the numbers of head-to-head, Eastern Conference versus Western Conference from 1990 all the way to 1998. I didn't even include the 99 season because it was a shortened season. You go look at the numbers. The Eastern Conference had 3 more wins than the Western Conference, guys. That's how close those conferences were throughout the entire 90s. If you go check the same numbers from 2005 to 2015, the head-to-head matchup between the Eastern and Western, oh my God. Like, I think it's like plus 100 and something wins for the West. That's not parity, man.
All right, let's move on to the next super chat. We got Kaiser Carl saying for $5 Canadian. Last time I watched NBA games was when MJ was playing. I just bought NBA Pass. Fell in love with the Bulls again last year. Fantastic. Thank you, Kaiser Carl, for the $5 Canadian. Most valuable fighter for $2. Dynastic teams are good when built, not bought. I think they're better that way. I think they still can be good otherwise. I mean, the Showtime Lakers were more or less bought. I think that was a fantastic one.
Yeah, I mean, people got to realize in NBA terms, right? Like late 80s, early 90s, you have the implementation of the hard cap and a lot of other rules, bird rights, that it tried to ensure parity as much as possible, right? Obviously, there are backroom deals and players talk and network. Yes, there are those things, but in terms of like trying to implement rules, that's like the big timeline, essentially the late 80s to early 90s.
Xavier to God super chats for $10. Michael Jordan gamble on a mansion that was a shrine to him that was worth $29 million, and eventually he had to sell it. Even when it went down to $4.7 million, no one bought it, so he took it off the market. Well, thank you for the $10 super chat, Xavier to God, and that history lesson.
Much respect. Yeah, listen, Michael Jordan also gambled when he was with the Charlotte Hornets and he was the owner all of those years, right? People talk about, people actually try to knock Michael Jordan's GOAT status because he wasn't a great owner. So these are the kinds of things that I'm talking about. Michael Jordan's legacy didn't take a hit because he didn't, win or wasn't a successful owner, quote unquote, even though he made a lot of money when he sold that franchise ultimately, right? But he didn't win. So I highly doubt Michael Jordan's legacy is ever going to take a hit for some nonsense like this.
Just a messenger for $1.99. Super chats for $1.99. Thank you. Parody is fine, but don't force it. Mr. Shanny for $5 says Uncommon Sense has found a couple of converts. I'm trying to tell him in his comments to get them in touch with 93Z. Do you know Uncommon Sense, 93Z?
I had watched his content before I had started YouTube. I know who Uncommon is, but we ain't never really talked except for one time here on the panel. But shout out to Uncommon Sense, because you definitely want to come over here, fanboys. If you want to get converted, Dr. Loomis got a special for you. I got a special.
Hey, no, his Fanboy Fridays be hilarious.
Yep. Bladed Raiders 78 for $5 says worst thing would be to hear MJ give LeBum too much credit due to this PC era. I'm not trying to hear the real GOAT give LeBalding a heap of praise for $5 US. What's up?
Yeah, that's what I don't want to hear. I do not want to hear Jordan getting up there and turning on the glaze machine. Like, that's not what I want to hear. No.
Hey, could we have what if Jordan waited until LeBron retired? Because we all agree that Jordan's going to help the ratings, right? But fanboys are going to turn around and say, oh, no, it was because it was LeBron's last year and everyone was wanting to see the last of LeBron.
You know what?
Oh, go ahead,
It's
Zay.
NBC. It's gonna be the NBC ratings.
You know why I don't want him to wait until LeBron retires, because LeBron might beat him to the punch. He might get word that Jordan might be trying to come back, and then LeBron will beat him to the punch, and people will say, "Oh, Jordan's following LeBron. That's the reason why
Yeah.
Jordan came back." I don't want to. Nope.
So,
right
so
now, it's perfect.
AOH, to your comment, right? Who believes that nonsense other than LeBron fans? That's why when they say these things, or they're like, well, LeBron did this, he's the GOAT. I'm like, who you convincing besides his fans? Nobody else remotely takes that stuff serious. So I get it.
I guess,
They
but
will
that's that has to be a big population if 90% of ESPN's content is geared around that. They're obviously appealing to somebody.
Hey, you heard what Charles Barkley said. He was like, ESPN is not going to tell me what to do. The Lakers are no, they're not. They're losers. You can't be a contender going out in the first round. He told them straight up, they can fire me because you're still going to have to pay me.
I hope Barkley walks the walk. I like that he said that. I heard him say that, but those guys have already gone and started getting soft even on TNT. You don't think they'll get softer on ESPN? I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Man, I hope you stand on business. Yeah, I hope I'm wrong too.
All right, let's do this last super chat and we'll get into the playoffs and we'll get back to the super chats after that. So Will N says, blame Byron Russell for instigating MJ to the point of getting him out of the first retirement. He screwed the Jazz from possibly getting 2 chips. Well, thank you, Will N, and thank you, Byron Russell, for getting MJ back into the league. But,
Shout out to Will N.
all right. So Scap, the Denver Nuggets have made it to Game 7. That was the team I predicted to win the championship this year. You had the Thunder winning the championship this year.
In September.
In September, yes. Both of us in September. How do you think this Game 7 is going to pan out?
I think the Thunder are going to win, and I think they're going to win fairly easily, honestly. Throughout NBA history, home teams typically are favored substantially in Game 7s. I think the Thunder are 8.5-point favorites today. Just to give everybody watching in the panel a quick bit of history, the Thunder were 10.5-point favorites in Game 1 of this series, 11.5-point favorites in Game 2, 6.5-point favorites in Game 3, 6.5-point favorites in Game 4. This is the Thunder in all games favored to this point. In Game 5, they were 9.5-point favorites. In Game 6, they were 7.5-point favorites. Today, they're 8.5-point favorites. They have been not just like favored in every game, significantly favored in every game. This did open as the thinnest favor line for them of the series. It was 5.5 with the Aaron Gordon news, which is percolating around now, which is he's still technically designated as a game time decision right now. But he has been diagnosed officially now with a grade 2 strain of the hamstring. To put that in context, Steph Curry had a grade 1, which is less severe. He missed at least, we don't know how long he would have missed because they got eliminated before he could come back. His injury occurred in Game 1 of that series. He missed 4 straight games. They lost all 4. There was murmurings that he was going to play had it been pushed to a Game 6, maybe. But so Gordon, essentially, this is like a 3-week injury. So whether he tries to go today or not, he's not going to be effective. Quite frankly, this is a player. He's not like a quarterback in the NFL that throws and is not that mobile. This is a guy who basically Gordon's main weapon is his athleticism. So if that is compromised, which it will be with this injury, it's better for them to just not play him at all. I will appreciate the guts, the bravado, and the moxie that he'll display in trying to get out there. I'm sure he might try to go, but I think he'll be extremely inefficient. They're going to have to get rid of him shortly. Basically the same as Michael Porter Jr., who, Michael Porter Jr. this year, somewhere around a 17-point per game scorer on, roughly 50% shooting from the field. In this series, he hurt his shoulder late in the Clipper series in series 1. In this series, with that shoulder injury, he goes into this Game 7 in the previous 6 games, averaging 7.7 points on 31% shooting. Again, this is a 17-point per game scorer on 50% roughly throughout the regular season. So whatever rankings you want to make in terms of these guys, they're somewhere in the top 4 players on this Nuggets team. It's obviously Jokic and Murray, and then those are the next 2 guys. So those 2 guys are going to be either extremely limited with injury or not even available at all due to injury today. So you would think they have to rely on their bench then to do something in this setting. They were the 22nd rated bench in terms of total net rating this year in the regular season, 25th in terms of scoring. So they're actually rated better than the amount of points they provide. So I just wanted to, and I'll turn it over, but I just wanted to bring that. I want to make sure I get this right. They were 22nd in the regular season in bench rating. The teams beneath them were the 76ers, Spurs, Nets, Raptors, Pelicans, Hornets, Jazz, and Wizards. So the thing that readily pops to mind there is none of those teams made the playoffs. The teams above them at 22, so 21, 20, and 19, Dallas, Atlanta, and Portland. So none of those teams made the playoffs either. So the Nuggets have by far the worst bench in the playoffs by far. And now that they're in the playoffs, they're rated 13th out of 16. The 3 beneath them there are Memphis, Orlando, and Miami, all of them out in the first round. They combine to win 1 total game in these playoffs. So what I'm telling you is the worst team bench-wise in the entire postseason to qualify for the playoffs is now missing 2 of their 4 best players. So a thin team already is without 2 of their 4 best players. They're on the road against a team that was the best rated team in NBA history in the regular season with the best differential in NBA history. This should be an absolute unmitigated bloodbath today. The Thunder should win by 30. I don't think they will. I think it will be a close game, probably into the 4th. And then the Nuggets just simply won't have enough steam amid probably Jokic and Murray playing roughly 45 minutes each. So that's my projection.
Stop.
Yeah, we don't believe you, sir. You need more people.
What do you mean I need more people?
No, I'm just hitting
You don't believe that,
man.
man.
Listen.
Robin, you got something on the tip of your tongue, it looks like.
No, I was rolling with Scott. Now until he said we'll lose by 30. I mean,
I don't think it will. I think it'll be a closer game, but they're going to lose.
In a win-win situation. There's nothing Nikola Jokic could do to have. If he wins this game, it's a historical win because there's no way he should win this game. That's what Steph is really doing there. He's setting this up. Listen, the reality of the matter is this, man. The OKC Thunder have not looked that great in the series. I've watched almost every single one of these games, man. I have not been that impressed with the OKC Thunder. They won a bunch of games in regular season. Great for OKC, man. That's awesome, man. They won. They have not looked that great in this postseason to me. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. I haven't been that impressed, man. To me, the Denver Nuggets have been the better team. When you talk about Aaron Gordon, yeah, you're right on the money. Yeah, they're going to miss Aaron Gordon. But once again, if Nikola Jokic's teammates are trash, then who cares if Aaron Gordon is not there? The facts remain. Aaron Gordon has 2 game winners in this postseason alone. The facts remain that Aaron Gordon is the second leading 4th quarter scorer for the Denver Nuggets so far this postseason. And the facts remain that Aaron Gordon is the #1 offensive rebounding player in the playoffs this postseason, man. So the fact remains, Aaron Gordon has been balling out. So that's why the Denver Nuggets are going to miss Aaron Gordon, man. Not because, they don't have a great bench and Aaron Gordon's not there. And Russell Westbrook is the leading bench scorer in the postseason this playoffs. Give the man some respect. No, Westbrook hasn't been perfect. This man's been Russell Westbrook. But the Denver Nuggets are inconsistent because why? The Denver Nuggets are not a great defensive team. It's not their bench, man. That's why they lost by they lose by 43 points to the OKC Thunder in game 2. But then they've won by double digits against the OKC Thunder. They're very inconsistent, up and down because of their defense and their inconsistent 4th quarter play from Nikola Jokic.
If I had to make an argument,
hang on one second. I just want to push back on the defense. Like the Thunder I think they were the second highest scoring team in the NBA in the regular season. They averaged 121 points per game, I think, in the regular season. 119 in game 1, then 149, obviously, yes, in game 2. Then game
Aaron
3.
Gordon doing deep out there.
Hold on. 104. They scored 104 in game 3, 92 in game 4, 112 in game 5, and 107 in game 6. So like the Nuggets defense has been very good in the playoffs. But okay.
Yeah, it has.
I was just gonna say the Nuggets play an 8-man rotation anyways. No one on their bench even plays above other than one other guy plays above 15 minutes. I would also say they're coming off 2 days rest, right? So one game, can you come up with 20 minutes, 28 minutes, or whatever Aaron Gordon plays between some other guys? I don't think that's going to be as big of a deal as maybe we think it is. Again, the 2 days rest, you just tighten up your rotation a little more. I don't think it's one of those things where in a one game, right?
Okay,
I think an 8.5 point spread is too much.
I give it to you. But now you're missing 2 of the 4 best players. Like take let's just say the Thunder. Let's say it's Jalen Williams.
Has been bad. You're right.
Hold on. Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, and Isaiah Hartenstein are likely their 2 through 4 best players. Take 2 of those guys out. Okay, but the Thunder still have the best bench in the NBA behind that. But still, take 2 of those 4 players out, and I would say the Thunder were going to win, or the Nuggets I would say would win. But like you just can't.
His bench has been horrible though, Scap. OKC's bench has been bad. Jalen Williams is averaging what 3.6 points in the series. They're not doing anything off the bench.
Alex
the best
Caruso
player
has been amazing off the bench.
The best player for SGA has been Chet Holmgren, man, in this series. He's been most consistent teammate, man. The other guys, even Jalen Williams, these guys have been up and down in this series. The OKC Thunder have not been formidable.
I agree, but here's the thing. Now we're in a reality with Porter Jr. averaging 7 points per game on 30% coming in, Gordon out. Now we're in a reality where entering now, if you remove Gordon, the third leading scorer for the Nuggets in this series going in is going to be Christian Brown at 11 points per game on 38% shooting. Like that's their third best player now today. Like that's a steep ask on the road against, no matter how poor they've looked and how much they've shown their age. Like a team this deep, they're going to throw 10 rotational guys at you and be fresh. Even if the Thunder are down 4 or 5 at the end of 3, they're going to be totally fresh going into the fourth quarter to close it out. The Nuggets are going to have their guys playing 45 minutes. Like it's going to be the Timberwolves series from last year in Game 7. They just gassed out. I really don't see any way. It's going to take Russell Westbrook, who was okay last game. He was 6 of 27, though, in games 3, 4, and 5 going into Game 6. He was shooting 6 of 27 in those games. It's going to take Russ sitting down today before Tip and say, look, it's been a terrible 5 years for me. This is my legacy game right here. Like I'm going home to Oklahoma City, a team that threw me away like a piece of trash. Now it's my turn to validate my career today. And Russ having like a legacy, like 23 points on the 23, 8 and 7 on like 7 of 18 shooting. Like that's what it's going to take. That kind of effort from that guy for them to win today. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it is highly improbable.
Yep. Steep ass. Anyway. Yeah. So Hoop God, what do you think about this? All right, Hoop God. Anyway, AOH.
Oh, no. I was on mute. My bad. Okay, so run it by me again.
Come on, man.
Hey.
AOH, what do you got?
Yeah, it's hard to root against Denver, but I was going to bring something positive to this. It's a win-win because I think that Oklahoma City Thunder's lineup against the Minnesota lineup will be fun to watch. I like to see that the size bash with each other, and I get exhausted watching Denver. I always feel like Denver's fighting an uphill battle, but they're hard to root against. But you know what? This is the great thing about the playoffs now. I can be happy with whatever to an extent. As long as the cancer is at home watching.
Look, cancer.
McCancer. I missed that. Does he say he has cancer now? Is that the new story?
Yeah, LeBron is.
He's cancerous for the NBA, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Come on, dog. Wake up, man. Get together.
I don't know.
He's been away for a couple months. Give him some leave.
I'm the 4-5. I'm wearing the 4-5 right now. Anyway,
that's right.
My apologies. I was on the phone, but no, I'm not. Scap is not convincing me with what he said. Scap, it sounded great. It sounded eloquent. You dressed it up. You made it sound nice. I'm just not convinced. I think psychologically, Scap's saying, yeah, Jokic has all these overwhelming odds. And when he gets the job done, that's going to be the greatest Game 7, which I agree. It'll probably be the greatest Game 7 we've seen thus far in the new millennium. Because, I don't know, y'all tell me if I'm wrong. I think OKC should have put them away in Game 6. They're still a young team. They're on the come up. But the Nuggets, outside of Westbrook, they have championship pedigree. So this is nothing new to them. I'm looking at OKC. If you're trying to establish yourselves, put them away in Game 6. Why would you let it go to a Game 7? Because now I think Jokic's IQ is going to take over. He's going to capitalize on their mistakes. He's going to capitalize on them pressing in the moment. So I see this Game 7. Oh, go ahead.
Yo, Jamal Murray stepped up, man. He played good, though. They played good, the Nuggets, man.
Here's the thing. Like Murray, look, I want to say I talk a lot of shit on Murray. He's been great in these playoffs. He has been a valid number 2 in these playoffs. But the thing is, he was while he was not there through much of the series last year against the Timberwolves in the semifinals, Murray did show up in Game 7. Jokic and Murray combined for 75 points or something like that in Game 7 last year. And both of them shot decently high percentage. But the rest of the team had like 20 points, and Murray and Jokic both played in the 40s. Jokic played 47 in that Game 7, and Murray played like 44. Like, that's what it's going to have to be in this game. And like, just will you have the freshness available then to close, to not make the mistakes, to have the lift on your jump shot? Like, Murray and Jokic both played masterful in Game 5, if you remember, of this series. Jokic had like the 44-15 game, and Murray had it cooking in the third quarter. But Murray missed 9 of his last 10 shots. Murray had 28 points in that game, and he was like, had it cooking, and he had 13 or 14 in the third quarter, and that looked like the Nuggets were going to win. But Murray missed 9 of his last 10 shots because he played 44 minutes. Like, he just like, and it's not just, it's the amount of minutes that they're playing coupled with the depth and the amount of players that this Thunder team can throw at you. Like, I agree with you. There, from a scoring standpoint, their bench has been bad this series, but they're still all good defenders. So like, and then, I mean, you got to think Jokic, I know everyone mocks and makes fun of his defense. He's been really good defensively in this series, and he has to be, because Hartenstein and Chet are viable offensive threats. So like, he has to expend that amount of energy on them defensively, control the glass, facilitate the offense to everybody else, and keep the freshness and lift in his shot while playing 45 minutes to close this game out on the road. I just don't see, like, yeah, it's not impossible. When it's a one-game winner take all, like, sure. And of course, you kind of favor veteran, older championship caliber teams in these settings. But like, it's just a very, very steep ask, I think, today. But we'll see. I mean, that's the great thing about sports. I mean, ultimately,
man, Murray's known for being what? A clutch time performer, man. That's ultimately his best attribute. For someone of his caliber, who's not known for being one of those superstar level players, he has the clutch ability of a superstar level type player. He's been known to put up 40 and 50-point games in Game 7s. This is what Jamal Murray does in these moments. So when you have that guy on your side, you arguably have the most clutch player on the court on the Nuggets.
93Z, what do you got to say about all this?
What I got to say is this is going to be a big test right here. This is the prove it game for OKC. OKC got to go out there and show up in Game 7. Now, what we've seen so far in the playoffs is that, hey, experience matters. We've seen it. You know what I mean? I think that without Aaron Gordon, him shooting 43% from the three-point line is going to definitely hurt the Nuggets. You know what I mean? Who is going to step up today? We praying Westbrook step up. Yep. We're praying that Bron gives you another 20-point game. You know what I mean? Julian Strawther, is he going to show up? He scored 17 points this whole entire playoffs, and then he comes out and scores, 15 in the last game? That's going to be huge if he can take that confidence that he had in Game 6 to Game 7 and give Jokic something. Jokic and Murray have to be themselves. Murray has to go into, his clutch mode. He's the only guy that's not a superstar, well, not an all-star, but can turn into a superstar in the playoffs, I believe. You know what I mean? Yeah, but either way, whoever wins this game, they going home in 6 to Minnesota, so it don't matter.
I agree. I agree, but disagree. I think if the Nuggets get through, they're going to be so gassed. I think so depleted. They played. This is their whatever. I think 9th game in 18 days or something like that. And again, Gordon, that's a 3-week injury, so he ain't coming back anyway. Even if they produce some all hands on deck miracle today or the Thunder choke, I think honestly for the Nuggets to win today, the Thunder are going to have to choke. I think that's what's really going to have to happen. Like the Nuggets just have to play like a consistent Nugget kind of good game. And then the Thunder are going to have to just crap their pants. Like Jalen Williams is going to have to go 3 of 17 again. Chet is going to have to miss every 3-pointer he takes. Like they're just going to have to choke. And then if that happens, I think, look, with the Porter Jr. and the Gordon injury, I think it's going to be a tough ask for them to get by Minnesota. If it's the Thunder, though, that they get by, I think they're going to take a deep sigh of relief, say, holy shit, we almost just crapped our pants to epic fashion here in this series. But look, they had a week off coming into this series. They then look that when they lost like one of the 4th to last game of the regular season, they couldn't get 70 anymore. I think they were trying to get to 70 wins. And then when they lost, like with 4 or 5 games to go, like they couldn't get to 70 anymore. So at that point, they were 18 games up on everybody else. They kind of load managed at home in the home stretch in the last like 9-10 days of the regular season. Then they swept Memphis, so they had a week off into here. They're well rested. They have 10 deep anyway. Like they're not going to be phased if they get through to Minnesota. And I think Minnesota just simply, while they're more talented and probably match up physically better against them than does the Nuggets, I think the Nuggets, just from like a mental standpoint, from like a champion, like the will of a champion type thing, and the fact that Nikola Jokic is a hell of a floor riser and just neutralizes a lot of people's advantages. Like I just think if the Thunder get through this, we'll be looking back in a month and say that was the big scare. Like that was it. Like that was the big test. They overcame it, and now they're champions. And now probably they're going to run off whatever 3 or 4 in the next like 6 years, more than likely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask Nick what his thoughts are. Nick, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean the total's 214. I think the big advantage the Nuggets have here is the half court offense. I think they've got to slow it down. They gotta use every second they can on the offensive end and try to get this game kind of ugly. You know, don't let the Thunder get out and get easy looks, open buckets. I think that takes a lot of pressure off a younger team as well. So again, I think they got to keep it. They got to control the pace, and I think they're going to have to squeeze every second they can on the offensive end, ultimately, and try to make this game as slow as possible. I think that's how they play it. That's probably their best path to victory. And everyone's going to play 40 plus minutes, right? Who can this game? They only play an 8 deep rotation anyways. So yes, while Gordon does a lot for them, I think you're just talking about one game, right? Can you guys play 45 plus minutes for one game, 40 plus minutes?
Well, but they've been doing that though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So like
they're all averaging. Murray and Jokic are averaging like 43 minutes each right now.
So
that's what I mean. So
Murray's averaging the most minutes in the playoffs.
Yeah, they got 2 days off. I think that's a big deal, right? So they will, I think, be able to play that. I don't think they'll have perhaps as tired legs as maybe you think. I guess that's kind of the big thing, but that's how I see them winning if they're going to win this game.
With all three of those.
OKC, the way that they look to me, the way that I've been watching this series, like I mentioned, they don't even look like themselves, because what I'm getting from OKC throughout the series is that they've been trying to figure out the Denver Nuggets throughout this series. They don't know what's going on here. But when you look at the Denver Nuggets, they seem to have more consistency as far as how they want to win, because they were tested more in the first round. Let's be real. OKC wasn't tested in the first round by the Memphis Grizzlies. You just mentioned they swept them, but not only did they sweep them, John Moran was in and out of the lineup. He ultimately went down. So they really weren't tested. Now they're getting tested. Denver Nuggets were tested in the first round by a really good LA Clipper team, man. So it went 7 games, like you mentioned. So they know what they have to do to win those tight games, and they were able to do that when it mattered most. OKC is still trying to figure this damn thing out. And I think, Zay, you're right, man. It's really up to OKC to go out there and win the damn game, man.
Well, to your point, just to echo that point, though, it's not just Robin. It's not just the first round. Like I said, the Thunder they led the NBA all time in history for total differential per game. They've been blowing teams out all year long. So it's basically they haven't been in close games at all at any point of the year. Whereas the Nuggets, like every game in the regular season, it seemed like they were either winning or losing by like 2 or 3 points. Like every freaking game they play is close. And I saw this. I'm known for kind of being a bit of a stat head, but there's some things that I don't even know. But when I see them they are so like startling to me that they stick with me in my mind. And it's almost hard to believe, but I might get this wrong because I had to read it a couple times and it was on very little sleep. But Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic have played in 13 playoff series together. So for their entire careers since they've entered the NBA, 13 playoff series where they've both played the whole series. They've either won that series or went to a game 7. In all 13 of those series, they've either basically gone 7 or won the series. So like it's just
Jamal Murray out there doing it.
They're just used to doing this. They just play tight. They play you tight. They get you into like decisive, like winner take all games. They're hard to eliminate. And this is what they do. And the Thunder, look, it's like I said, they have been choking in this series. Like there's really no way else to put it. The Thunder or the Nuggets have been throwing zones at them and they've been playing hard. I think defensively, like they haven't all year. Basically, since they fired Malone, the Nuggets overall have just been competing much harder on that side of the ball. Take that for what you will. But the zone additionally has really confused the Thunder, and then just young nerves. Like they're just choking. So there's a lot of pressure on them, I think, to get it done at home. And we would imagine that the role players will play better for the Thunder at home now, because look, you guys are mentioning names like Christian Brown, Strother, maybe Peyton Watson. Like these are all young players though too, and now they're on the road. Game 7s are inherently tight butthole games. Like your butthole is going to be puckered all game long. Like you won't be able to get a little puff of air through the buttholes throughout this game. Okay. Like not even a blade of grass will fit in there, but it's even more strenuous for younger players, and just having the home court, like the home fans, I think will maybe be a little bit of a lift for the Thunder in this game. But we'll see.
I want to combine what 3 of them said.
AOH, let me say something first. I haven't said anything on this topic. So what I want to mention is what happens after this game. So I think that the Thunder, to what everyone's been saying, I think the nerves, even though they're down a few players that are key contributors or they have injuries and all of that, what happens if the Thunder wins, or what happens if the Nuggets win? So what I understand, they haven't given out the MVP award yet. So everyone seems to be thinking it's going to go to SGA. What happens when it goes to SGA? A lot of the times when people win the MVP, they get drunk on that award. They lose their step. And a lot of people like to attribute a lot of the excess, at least on the scoring side, to SGA and their dominance on the offensive side to him. So what happens, let's say if he wins, what happens to the Thunder next round against the Timberwolves? They've had this great regular season net differential, as Scap has brought up. Now, I think they're wildly different, the regular season and then the playoffs, about how the games are played and how serious the teams are taking it. Not that they're not in the regular season, but that it's a different world. I'm curious to see what happens after this game, and I think they might be holding off that award for SGA to even push him a little bit farther into the playoffs and not risk him getting drunk over that. Because you look at Jokic a couple years ago, some people claim with the MVP award that he got drunk off of that. So
in what years?
Wasn't it what was it?
He won in 2021, 21, 22, and then 23, 24.
Yeah, 24 last year, because he won last year. That's what it was. It was last year that he won, and then they just kind of fell apart in the playoffs.
I mean, they lost in Game 7 to Minnesota, and Murray was not. Murray was hurt. Murray was very hobbled last year, I think. I think had Murray been healthy, they would have beaten Minnesota. And quite frankly, I think they might have beaten the Celtics. They would have beaten Dallas. I don't know if they would have beaten Boston or not. I think they would have pushed Boston a lot more than Dallas did. But look, Murray's healthy now, and he looks great now. So I don't know. Look, here's the thing. You guys poo-poo my net differential. Okay, I get it. But here are the teams. Here are the teams now that are below Oklahoma City. So the teams that were above starting this year, here are like the top 6 or 7 teams all-time net differential. All right. The 72 Lakers were number 1 all-time. The 71 Bucks, the 95 Bulls, the 2016-17 Warriors with Durant, the first Durant year. Another Bulls team, and then the Celtics last year. So like the 6 teams that held those high differentials. I'm not saying, look, I see Robin having little mini aneurysms walking in and out of camera. I'm not saying that this Thunder team is better than any of those teams. I'm saying though, what net differential does determine is how much better you are that year against your opponents. So like this year's Thunder team were better than their opponents by a larger rate than any of those other teams that I just rattled off. Not only did those teams all win the NBA championship, they weren't even tested. Like every team I just mentioned lost, like I think they all lost 2 or 3 games only. So like if they lose this series, it is an all-time choke job. If they lose this series in the second round, it is going to be, to me, the biggest failure in NBA history other than probably the 2011 Mavericks and the 2011 Heat against the Mavericks and the 2015-16 Warriors that won 73 games and blew a 3-1 lead in the finals. This Thunder team will go down in history with them if they lose today. So the pressure's all on them.
I hate to bring it up. What about the 2007 Mavs? Where were they on that list?
I have a question about this for the panel here. Does everybody feel this way when they hear net differential? Hold on.
Ooh, one down. I know somebody who won't be having any.
I'm starting to feel funny.
Well, I feel fine. I guess I'm gonna.
Oh boy, that means I win. I get to eat.
Oh God! Why didn't anybody tell me? Oh my God! My insides are on fire! No, please, no more.
Oh man, that was funny.
No, sorry, Nick. What were you saying about the Mavs? And then after this, let's move on to the super chats.
The 2007 Mavs, they had that first round exit when they won like 64 games or whatever it was.
I think it was 67 or 68, actually.
Yeah.
All right. Jolly Joshums for $5 says parity is always a good thing. However, the true greats will always be the thumb on the scale that puts the odds in their favor. I hope Jokic does that today.
Yeah, real quick, I didn't get to comment on that, but I used to be a parody guy, and then Tom Brady like totally changed my mind on that thing. And also, people who say they want parody, it's more than likely it's because your team's not that good, right? Think about it, like, would you want your team to have parity, or would you want your team to have a dynasty, right? And I think if you truly had parity all over the league, if we're going to talk about ratings, right, once your team's out of it, then that market kind of collapses, right? But if we're tuning in to watch greatness, right, if we're tuning in to see people defy the odds and do things that are considered all time over several years, I think that's ultimately what people want to see. That was just my 2 cents on that topic.
All righty. Comments of the month for $9.99 says MJ or LeBron didn't make as many people fall off a crossover or didn't make as many offhand shots as Kobe, who can use his left. Kobe is the only star to win back-to-back rings without a top 75 help.
Did he say he didn't make as many offhand shots? Come on, man.
I don't want to
put Michael Jordan and LeBron James in the same sentence, man. Stop it.
Right, like, and also I don't want to disparage Jordan ever or talk. So I will never talk ill of the GOAT ever. But I do think just as a point of fact that Kobe is undervalued. I think Kobe needs to be. We need to normalize Kobe being mentioned with Jordan more frequently. So like I don't want to use Jordan as any kind of a stepping stone to talk Kobe up. But with that said, like Kobe, like the dude catches so much disrespect these days. It's just so off-putting to me.
Danny Fan for $2 says, does NASCAR mean more to MJ or the NBA? I think it's the NBA personally. Maybe not the speed anymore of it, but
NASCAR's really expensive though
He's
to
a
get in. How he got
competitor.
in.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
competitor,
yeah.
man. That's why he's
That's all
out
it
there.
is. Yeah, he's trying to quench that competitive drive. That's what it's all about.
He trying to get that NASCAR money too, man.
If you know Michael Jordan, you remember hearing him talking about how his dad used to take him to NASCAR when he was little. He grew up in North Carolina. That stuff is big down there for someone like Michael Jordan. See, a lot of people don't realize these things about Michael Jordan. They just talk a lot of nonsense. Michael Jordan has many other. They said he's a competitive fisher. He goes out and has his own boat that he goes and competitive fishes, man. I mean, my God.
Xavier DeGod for $2 says both MJ and LeBron aren't good at making NBA teams.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you, Xavier, and shout out. I know I recognize Xavier. He's on a lot of my I've been doing live streams actually the last couple of weeks, and he's there. So what's up, bro? And thank you for coming on here. Appreciate you.
Roland Curtis off Vermont Avenue says for $2 says, except Kyrie, no player is more articulate than MJ. Kyrie's more articulate than MJ?
Just skip Kobe.
The earth is flat.
Yeah, what about Kobe?
Yeah,
Who
Kobe
spoke
spoke
like
like 4
7
languages.
languages.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. I've never heard Kobe say or none of that. What?
I really believe if Kobe did not pass away, R.I.P. Mamba, he was going to be president maybe one of these days. I really do believe it. I think he had a lot. I think Kobe, I think his second act was going to be even better than his first act. I really do believe that.
Scap, do you think Kobe would be doing what they're asking Mike to do already? You think he'd be on the sidelines or special commentary?
I don't know. He just had so many other things going on outside of basketball. I feel like I said, I think his second act was going to be something crazy to behold, and I don't know that basketball really even was going to play a factor in it, honestly.
Maybe do some stuff on the side for the Lakers or something.
AOH. So this is my theory on that. He was already doing detail. So I believe the stage was being set because remember now, this is when the fanboys in the media were starting to, create their little narratives. And Kobe has all these breakdowns on detail where you can literally he pretty much had basketball down to a science, like just particular moments and situations outside of just putting up empty numbers. Like he was breaking down the Warriors offense, what Cleveland needed to do, the Celtics, just a multitude, of players. So I think the stage was being set for Kobe when they wanted him to do detail that would have, I would say, carried over to him eventually being on the sidelines and offering commentary.
MVF, most valuable fighter for $2. Super chat says, does Brunson's demeanor remind you of MJ or Kobe? I would say no, personally.
That's crazy.
I think Brunson, the way I feel like the way that he approaches the closing minutes of these games is Jordan Kobe-esque. That's what I would say. But to put Jalen Brunson in like I said, in the same sentence as those kinds of guys, he's not there yet. He has to do it more at a higher level. This is the Eastern Conference Finals. Those guys were doing it in the NBA Finals in moments like that. So I do think Jalen Brunson's approach in the fourth quarter in those moments is like them. He doesn't really get too emotional or out of control in those moments. He always seems to know where he wants to go. Sometimes the shots don't go and sometimes they do.
Yeah, I think it's more so, like you said, the approach and the mentality. But his style of play, like watching him, he reminds me of a mixture of Mike Bibby and Chauncey Billups.
All right. Sully's, what's up?
Oh yeah, I'm about to say Jalen Brunson, he's different, man. For him to be that small and still can kind of get wherever he wants on the court and do what he wants, especially in crunch time. Big for the Knicks, man. I didn't believe it at first, but I'm starting to believe it a little bit.
Sully's Tech Hub for $5 says Jokic will have to put up top 10 all-time game to defeat the Thunder at home in Game 7 without Mr. Hustly, Muscly, Aaron Gordon. More than stats.
Shout out Sully, another one I recognize. He's a teacher. So maybe Sully, you could you could use this game as in your lesson plan moving forward if Jokic does do a top 10 kind of performance.
Will N for $2 says bench MPJ and make Strother a starter.
Yeah, I actually Will N, shout out to you, by the way. What's up, bro? I think I would actually start Russ and determine early on in the game which Russ you're gonna get, what he has, what level of where his shot making looks like today. Go to him, I'd say, for the start, and then hit your bench early on. I kind of like Strother and Watson still coming off the bench, but we'll see what Adelman has been. He has been great since I made fun of that whenever they fired Malone and they installed Adelman as the interim, but he's been fantastic. So we'll see. Whatever he wants to do, I would probably be behind that. But I personally would go with Russ.
Gemini Girl for $10 super chats. I too would hate for MJ to come off looking bad in any way and give LaMedia ammunition, but I'm intrigued nonetheless. That alone will get me to resubscribe to YouTube TV. And that's what I'm saying. I think this is really Michael Jordan just trying to get back to the NBA and help it live, because I think outside of young people, a lot of the older people in the population of basketball fans are jaded with how the NBA is marketed. As
That's a
evidenced
Gemini
by
girl.
all
Shout
of
out-
our channels.
Shout out Gemini Girl. Yeah, isn't it interesting that Jordan, who did so much for the NBA, is being asked to do more for the NBA, which is fine. But again, we have LeBron, who has done nothing but hurt the NBA with all these talking heads saying he's done so much for the NBA. He's an ambassador of the game. In what fucking way?
Yeah. Tynex or 10x209 says goated panel is back. We need a 50-piece by Jokic for €2, I believe that is. Thank you, 10x.
Thanks, 10x.
The real Donald Trump. Do you think this is Donald Trump with 10 Canadian dollars?
That's obviously him.
He comes to my channel. I can confirm it is not the real Donald Trump.
Wouldn't be paying in Canadian, that's for sure.
Do not mock or ridicule me. My name is Donald J. Trump. I approve this message.
When Ladiddy Oil James has his farewell freak off tour, aka retire tour, will he be beloved by the fans like Kobe?
No.
Hell no. Hell no.
I'm gonna tell you this: they're gonna put they're gonna put his biggest fanboys up front, so it looks like it, but everybody knows. No way.
Nah, man. Man, listen, Kobe was a people's champ. When we talk about people's champions, it's not just necessarily about the championships that you won on the court. It's about the other things, the way that you carried yourself. Like you guys mentioned, what you did for the game, how you pushed the game forward. When you mention someone like Kobe Bryant, he's known for what? The Mamba mentality. This is what he left behind. What has LeBron James left behind? He hasn't left behind anything like that. The legacy that Kobe Bryant left behind, like Chef just mentioned, it wasn't even ending. He was just ascending. That was the greatness of Kobe Bryant. So when you talk about the impact, look at the way the city shut down when that man died. That's impact. He was a people's champ. LeBron James will never be revered that way. He never will. It don't matter what he does from this moment on. He'll never be loved like Kobe Bryant. That's why the LeBron James fans talk so bad about Kobe Bryant the way they do. It's personal for them because they know that only Kobe Bryant is loved and respected the way that Michael Jordan is seen and loved and respected that way. And LeBron James has never been like that. That's why he goes out and gets booed when he goes out.
Will N asks, or super chats for $5 and asks the most underrated players in NBA history for y'all. Sorry, there's somebody got a hot mic on here. Most underrated players in NBA history for y'all. One's for me. I think it might be AOH. It's just scratchy. Yeah, you can unmute yourself, AOH. Most underrated players in NBA history for y'all. One's for me that come to mind: Baron Davis, Ron Harper, Detlef Schrempf, and Mark Price. Well, you know who it is for me? George Mikan.
I knew you were
First NBA superstar, 5-time NBA champion or 6-time NBA champion, first three-peat, didn't have the NBA MVP, was responsible for the 24-second clock, the expansion of the lane, amongst other rule changes, the most dominant superstar of the first half of the 20th century, engine number 99, George Mikan.
Hey, Will, you can add Brad Daugherty to that list. He's definitely underrated.
Yeah. Yeah, those are some good names, man. Shout out to Ron Harper, man, who was able to transform his game and sacrifice, and be an integral member to the second three-piece Chicago Bulls. Shout out to Ron Harper. And, shout out to Detlef Schrempf, man.
Uh-oh.
Nowitzki type player before Dirk Nowitzki from Germany. And like I said, to me, he was a better ball handler and playmaker than someone like a Dirk Nowitzki, man. He was one of those guys that could stretch the floor at 6'10", man. Shout out to Detlef Schrempf, man.
One of mine is Zach Randolph.
Zebo.
A lot of underrated players.
There really are. There's a lot of underrated guys out there throughout NBA history.
They're forgotten.
I don't know. I think there's even players that are great players that are underrated, like Hakeem Olajuwon is like a player to me that like just does not get mentioned. And I know underrated kind of denotes like guys that get no credit at all, whereas Hakeem's brought up a lot. But to me, like Hakeem's arguably like he's one of like the handful, like he's a Mount Rushmore type player, arguably. So the fact that like people don't really mention him that much, to me, I think of him as one of the more overrated players.
I think he's rated. I think he's rated appropriately.
I like that.
Don't start going crazy, Dart.
I think Jerry West, you can put him in there. He's an all-time great that's underrated.
Word.
Yeah, I like that Zach Randolph comparison. I'm gonna say Paul Pierce, man. Paul Pierce, man, he don't get a lot of respect and love. The truth. What he's able to do out east, man. With no.
What about Allen Iverson? Come on.
Oh, hey,
yeah.
Don't ask Dart.
Underrated.
Scap, you're listing all of my least favorite players.
Let me just lay this. Let me just lay this real fast on you. There's been Jordan with 10 scoring titles, first all time. Chamberlain 7, second all time. Just a handful of guys have done it 4 times. I think Durant, George Gervin, and one of the guys is Allen Iverson. Has 4 scoring crowns, tied for 3rd most ever, and he led the league 3 times in steals. Actually. And also for like 6 or 7 years, he led the league in minutes per game at like over 40 per game. One year he played like nearly 43 minutes a game. I mean, AI, like what an engine, all-time great engine, and probably like realistically 5'11". Crazy.
Hey,
I wish he would practice because as a 76ers guy, he didn't like to practice. I don't know if you ever heard that.
3 or 4 of his scoring percentages were like on the worst shooting percentages compared to like everyone else all time. I think also his point total.
But
he was a volume shooter.
Scoring league wide at the time though was like 95, 96 points per game. So I'm just saying
he was leading. He was playing his game. He was playing his game out there. Shout out to Elgin Baylor, Moses Malone, a lot of these guys, man. Like you said, there's a lot of guys that we can. To me, Dominique Wilkins is underrated. He doesn't get mentioned a lot of times, man. Like I said, a lot of these guys that we don't mention in the 90s and the 80s is a lot of times because of Michael Jordan, things that he was able to do. Like like I said, someone like Dominique Wilkins would probably have about 3, 4, maybe even 5 scoring titles if it wasn't for someone like Michael Jordan. And same thing with Karl Malone. He would have 4 or 5 scoring titles if it wasn't for Michael Jordan. How many times he finished run up to Michael Jordan?
Hey, let me quote Scap on this one. I got Iverson over little game James Harden all time. I mean, come on, man.
I like that.
That one's okay, yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, man. James Harden ain't even top 10 shooting guard, man. You kidding me? James Harden ain't been in Reggie Miller, man. He ain't been in Ray Allen, Clyde Drexler, George Gervin. He ain't been none of them dudes.
Okay, but he is on the all-buffet team, along with like Zion would be on the all-buffet team. I don't know. Like who else?
Luka.
Yeah, you can get him on that buffet
team. The all
team.
strip club team.
Shout out Michael Finley. I got to shout out Michael Finley too.
They got buffets at them strip clubs, I heard.
Shout out Isaiah Lord Thomas too, by the way.
Vegas 96.
You gotta put him in.
Yeah, you got to. He beat all 3.
Vegas 96 for $10 says, for Scap and everyone else, in my opinion, I think Denver should play zone in the beginning. Don't let the bench or role players get hot by open threes. Play man, double occasionally, but no zone. I think they should do what they've been doing.
And that's been primarily a good amount of zone. They haven't done it all game, but they've been throwing a 1-3-1 in a lot. And it's been puzzling. It's really been giving the Thunder a lot of fits. Sporadic, like late doubles on Shea out of it. And yeah, I mean, I agree. Just look, if Shea's going to score 50 today or whatever, I would just say go for it. Don't let the other guys, don't let them get hot early, because a couple of the role guys hit like big threes early on. Like it just could be a monsoon of confidence for the whole team. So yeah, I like that comment. Thank you, Vegas 96.
Yeah, that zone is why they won Game 6, and also they gotta keep it a half-court game. You know what I mean? The Thunder are struggling to score in the half-court game. When they get out and run is when they're really most effective, and in that transition.
Yeah, I mean the Nuggets. It's imperative they have to win the turnover battle 100%. They must win that, and they've been winning the rebound battle. So those are the keys to success. Basically, like just keep it a slowed down game. Try to keep it low 100s, upper 90s, and just see what happens at the end.
It's gonna be tough to rebound without Aaron Gordon, because like we said, he's the number one offensive rebounder in the playoffs.
Jokic averaging 15 rebounds per game in this series. He's gonna have to have 20 today.
That's why Russ is gonna be key, because he's gonna be needed to get rebounds as well in those energy plays.
Yep, great point. Another reason why I'd start him early and let him also, it gives him the ability to feel the game from the very beginning, like kind of work his way into it rather than being inserted, like when the flow of the game's already kind of been determined and other players are in some kind of a rhythm. Like just get Russ in, he's going to be so important today. I feel like you just have to get his confidence up from a very early standpoint of the game and just let him show what he's got today, because this could be it for, they've signed him through next year. He'll probably be back, but like this could be maybe like their last really good look, his last good look at getting a single title. So this could be a game that like just on pure like heart and adrenaline, maybe Russ can give you a good Russ game.
Yep. And if he airballs within the first 5 possessions, the game's over. It's over with. Put your buddy on the Thunder, man.
He's got to attack. Can't be settling for jump shots, I don't think.
They're going to leave him open, though. They're definitely going to leave him open.
I mean, listen, you guys are right, man. You guys said earlier, it's really on OKC, man. Like someone just mentioned, I think it was Scap, you mentioned something about it. If SGA has 50, then what are you going to do about it? Well, it's about damn time. Where's SGA to have one of these SGA-type MVP performances? We've seen Nikola Jokic go out there and drop 40 twice in this series, man. So he's been out there showing up, and his teammates have stepped up. So we've seen even Jamal Murray drop 40 points in this postseason. Where's the SGA MVP moment? This is the game that he should have it. There's something that we have to mention also, remember, about these type of things. Think about it. Scap, you mentioned the differential earlier and some of the teams and the differential in the history of the game. If we go back and actually look at the roster of those teams, those guys were veteran players with championship pedigree, championship experience on those teams. Look at the average age of the OKC Thunder. They're like 24 years old average age. Go look at the average age of those teams that you mentioned for that differential. It's a lot different, the guys that we're talking about. So yes, the differential is important, but so was the Cleveland Cavaliers differential was pretty damn impressive. They beat the Miami Heat by like 45, 53 points. They were putting up all these wins by all these margins. There have been more wins by 30-plus points this postseason than there have been overtime games. The Denver Nuggets themselves have been beat by 30-plus twice this postseason. So that's pretty crazy when you think that they actually have a shot to win an NBA title. This is what's been going on in the NBA over the last couple of years. The inconsistency of the scores and the outcomes of these games because of the play of these guys.
Did Dart step away?
Did he?
I could do Karthik because I recognize Karthik. What's up, bro? Thanks for joining us over here on the MJFB panel. Scott Foster being the crew chief worries me more. Oh, okay. So we have Karthik has dropped us the official report there for the day. So yeah, I typically don't tend to look or concern myself with officiating, though I'm sure it does play a role in certain instances throughout NBA playoff history, but it's game 7. Like it's just 48 minutes and it's just what's going to happen is going to happen ultimately. So
I think if anything, they're going to favor the Nuggets because they have the history of being a champion versus push the Thunder over. Now they might, I don't know, but I think that if there is going to be funny officiating, it would go towards the Nuggets, but maybe I might be wrong. Comments of the month for $4.99 says a LeBron fan would ignore Kobe going back to back without his top 75 help. LeBron couldn't do it with Irving and Love. Ines, CP3, Vito, Kobe, easily 7 rings. Yeah.
I think Kobe would have Kobe would have gotten a 6th. I don't know if I could say 7, but if the CP3 trade went through, and Kobe would have played a healthy till he was maybe probably like till he was 37 or 38 healthy, whereas he ruptured his Achilles that year at like 34. So I think Kobe would have scored a lot more points. On the back like 3 or 4 years had that CP3 trade gone through for sure.
It says, are LeBron fans even good at playing basketball for $1.99 T-piece?
LeBron fans don't understand the spirit of basketball. They definitely don't understand what it means to be a competitor. I know that.
You know a LeBron fan when you playing basketball at the court. He's lowering his shoulders. He's pushing off on you. You know what I mean? You know where they at.
Comments of the month for $1.99 says,
He's going home with ball.
Walk off the court, LeBron have good character. Laughing out loud. The finest of character.
That right there made him the GOAT.
Yep.
Right there made him the GOAT.
That right there.
Oh shit.
CGP for $9.99. And then after this, we'll transition to the Knicks. We'll start off with Robin.
Robin Sweat.
CGP for $9.99 says, in my opinion, I believe if Kobe were still alive, he would have done a Mind the Game podcast before LeBron. He was already headed in that direction with this detail show. I'm not entirely sure what he was doing.
Detail.
Well, yeah, I mean, outside of that, but whatever that is, I don't know what that is. But
did it have more content than excuses? Never-ending excuses.
Dude was winning Oscars, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mind the Game isn't winning no Oscars. You know what I mean?
You ain't winning no primetime Emmy.
Have you guys seen though the Mind the Game? I don't want to derail us, but like since they got rid of JJ and it's Steve Nash, like Steve Nash is so embarrassing to me. Like I expect this shit from LeBron, but like why is Steve Nash prostituting himself out here? Like genuflecting and bootlicking this guy. It's nauseating to see. Like what? Like do you need money that bad, Steve Nash? Like
Steve Nash is a nice man. You stop attacking him right now.
No, he deserves it all, Nick. He deserves it all.
Terrible. Job too. Does he have a head coaching job lined up for Nash like he got JJ? His boy JJ. Like, is it really worth it though for this nauseating display of bootlickery and jock sniffing that Steve Nash is displaying right now? It's just sad to see.
Bootlickery, I like that.
When LeBron said he walked off the court to start his process, Steve Nash was like, "Oh, that's awesome. That's great." Like, what the fuck? Man, Steve Nash, it's so sad to see a 2-time MVP bootlicking,
I just
man.
block it out.
Nick, I'm going to give you a membership so you can watch my members only video in which I just trashed Steve Nash for almost an hour.
Nope.
He sounds like he's there to wipe the spittle from LeBron's mouth and change his diaper for him and tell him everything's going to be okay.
You hate to see it.
Robin, what about your New York Knicks? Are they the real deal? Are they class or are they ass?
Well, listen, I'll be straight honest, man. Like I've been saying since the beginning of the season, I didn't want to talk about the Knicks much. I didn't want to, wear any Knicks gear. I didn't want to do any videos. I wasn't a believer. I'll be honest, I'm still not a believer in Karl-Anthony Towns, but that's a different story for another day. But the Knicks, to me, have a chance to go to the finals. I don't know if they could beat, the Denver Nuggets or the OKC Thunder or the Minnesota team. I don't know if they could beat one of those teams. I think they could beat the Pacers. I think home court advantage is going to be key for the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks, to me, have been doing all the little things, like I was talking to you guys before we came in live, man. They've been doing all the little things to win these games. They have Jalen Brunson's made me believe it, damn it. He made me believe it, man. Like I said, I don't know if we're gonna lead him to a championship, but damn it, the man's made me a believer. The Knicks had no business beating Boston Celtics. Let's be real, guys. They had no business beating that team, man. Now, yeah, we could talk about the Boston Celtics shot 63s and they only made X amount and they were doing all this nonsense. They must have taken the Knicks lightly. Yeah, we get all that. But the Knicks was down 20 plus. I was watching them games, man. They did not stop hustling. They did not stop playing. And when it came down to those last seconds, they were the clutch team. They were the ones playing team basketball. Everyone contributed to every one of those wins during that Knicks rally, man, in those moments. And the New York Knicks have made me a believer that they can go to the NBA Finals. Are they? I don't know. It's going to be a very tough series. To me, the Indiana Pacers are one of the deeper teams that are left in the postseason, man. They got a lot of guys that are like long, rangy, that hustle, that can go out there and make plays, man. It's going to be a tough. This is a moment right now. Reggie Miller, Patrick Ewing, the rivalry, Spike Lee on the sideline, Reggie Miller throwing out the choke. It's back, baby. The rivalry. Indiana, New York, Eastern Conference Finals, the first time since 2000. Let's roll, baby.
He took his shirt off.
Carl Anthony Towns scares me, though.
What do you got to say about this, Zay?
What I gotta say, man, New York Knicks fans have finally come out of the sewers. Here they go. They've been in the sewers with Master Splinter and the Ninja Turtles all year. And now they're finally out. So I'm gonna say this. The Knicks played a tremendous series. We cannot lie. I don't even think most New York fans even seen game one because they were too scared. Nobody had the Knicks winning more than 2 games, 5, at max. But the Knicks came out and were resilient. Mikal Bridges, man. Mikal Bridges was huge down the stretch in those first 2 games, man, with the back-to-back steals to clinch the game. Jalen Brunson, again, I just can't explain it. You just really can't explain what he's being able to do right now. Get to any spot. He can get his shot up over you. Those little floaters that he shoots in the lane, like, it just doesn't make sense how he gets it off. Cat has been playing huge. I didn't believe in Cat coming into the playoffs just because I seen him on the Timberwolves and how shitty he played for the Timberwolves and how he could disappear. But Cat has not disappeared. Even in game what? He was in foul trouble, still trying to, get his buckets. But at the end of the day,
scary, Zay.
I'm trying to give him the Lord credit. You can tell he's nervous, but it seemed like Jalen Brunson he's as a leader, he's keeping everybody level-headed. If y'all looked after the game, he wasn't really celebrating. He wasn't too happy. He's like, hey, man, we got more work to do. We're not done yet. And that's something that you haven't seen from the Knicks. You've seen the crowd going crazy, dropping spit all over the court. But Jalen Brunson, like, man, calm down, y'all. We're not done. But I think the Knicks going to be in trouble, though, next round because the Pacers are just way deep, way deeper. And Tom Thibodeau doesn't like digging into that bench. You know what I mean? Too much. So, but the Knicks are well-conditioned for it, though. They'll be well-conditioned. But I don't know if they got the depth to beat the Pacers.
Nick, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for this because I was saying before the show backstage, I got a little bit of futures money on the Pacers. So, like, if they win, I will be happy. But at the same time, after like Luka and the Mavs, I've been a big fan of Brunson. Obviously, he came from the Mavs. We drafted him, so I've been rooting for him from afar. Yep. I would like to see the Knicks or the Pacers winning a ring or getting to the finals. I think is it would be fine either way, right? I think either team has a good story there. I probably am pulling historically for the Knicks a little more. It would be nice to see the Knicks and that market get back in the finals. So that would be nice. But yeah, man, like I'm a big fan of Brunson. I'm really happy for him. He's been playing, I saw it firsthand. I knew he'd be good. Sucks he couldn't do it with us. Another one that we let get away, unfortunately. But yeah, like I probably would like to see the Knicks win minus my my own bias incentive, right? So and they can't use the Tatum injury as an excuse, right? The Knicks were beating them before that ever happened. So that was their series to win either way, right? So I'm happy for them, and either team that makes it, I think, will be good for basketball from the Eastern Conference.
All right, what do you got to say, Scap? What about the situation?
Yeah, I mean, look, kudos to the Knicks. I think, look, both of these, it's unfortunate, but there's some injury situations that went on for the two higher seeded, favorited teams in both of these Eastern Conference series. I think the Knicks were winning the series no matter what, even if the Tatum injury did not occur. They were going to be up 3-1. It was like a 7-point game with 3 minutes to go in game 5 when Tatum blew the Achilles. So that was going to be a 3-1 anyway. I think they would have closed them in 6 anyway. I think that the Cavs honestly were a little more derailed by their injuries, because you remember Garland missed like the first 2 games. Mobley missed one of those games. Hunter, they're like one of their preeminent bench players, missed some of those games. Then Mitchell was hurt bad, like for the end of that series. So I mean, both of these, look, we've been basically priming ourselves all year long since like the first month for Cavs Celtics. They both get picked off here in the second round. But I do think this is an enticing series, though. There might be some incentive from casual basketball fans to not have as much interest as they would have had if it were the Celtics Cavs. But I think this is going to be a fun series. I think it'll probably go 7, honestly. I could totally see that. It is a throwback. Any one of our collective age ranges, I can't help but think like this is like 90s, like early 2000s throwback. So like I'm actually really excited for it. I think the Pacers have a lot of depth, and they're actually a pretty underrated team. But the Knicks, I just like their roster in terms of like the components that they have for playoff success. I think they have pretty much everything that checks the box. I've always been, quite frankly, a Thibodeau fan. I know he gets, some people like to hate on him, but he's just an old school, like defensive minded guy. And I think he fits the personnel well on the team. I like the Knicks in this series, I think, but it's not going to be an easy series by any stretch. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And I think I'll be expecting the Knicks to be in the NBA Finals for the first time since was it the strike shortened season where they lost to the Spurs? Is that the last time?
Yeah.
1999.
Yep, 1999. Not even this century. So one of the, obviously the preeminent global markets, media markets, and one of the few meccas of basketball. It will be cool to see them get into the NBA Finals this year. So let's go next. I'm with you, Robin. I'm with you on this one.
Let's
Hey,
roll.
Scap,
baby.
you gave Cleveland too much credit, man. Cleveland choked at the end of the day. They choked away game 2 when they're up 7 with 48 seconds left. There's no way you lose that game. You go up 2-1. You won the next game. You know what I mean?
I know, but that with game 2 was the game where they were without Garland, who was like, I mean, he's one of their preeminent plays, like a 23-point per game scorer this year, and like their main setup guy. And then Mobley was the defensive player of the year this year. And then Hunter was averaging like 15, 16 points off the bench. Like they were without all 3 of those dudes. Like I think that was the game where Mitchell had like 48 points or something. It was just a heroic game, I thought, from Mitchell, but they just gassed out at the end. Like they were missing 3 of their like top 6 players.
In game 2?
Yeah.
They were up 7 with 48
I know, but they were
seconds.
missing 3 of their top 6 guys though in that game.
You can't choke that away.
I hear you. And it was a choke. Like the way they gave, that was the one they gave Halliburton, rebounded his own missed free throw with like 11 seconds left or whatever, backed it out and then hit the game-winning 3. So like, yeah, I mean, look, there's nothing in football. Turnovers drive me crazy. In basketball, the things that drive me the most crazy is offensive rebounds. And the worst is giving up offensive rebounds off of a missed free throw. And to give it up to like this spindly, skinny little 6'2" guard is even more inexcusable. So look, they lost the game. They blew the end of it execution wise, but I still think had they not been without those guys for the first 2 games, like they would have at least split. They would have won one of the first 2 games. And then look, Mitchell got hurt in the back end of it. Like I get it. You win 64 games. And you're not supposed to lose in the second round, regardless of what the situation is. So I understand, and I wouldn't give you much pushback, but I still think likely they would have won that series if they were totally healthy. But hell, that injuries are part of it. Like that's just the simple matter of it. Like when you get to this point of the season, it is somewhat just a matter of attrition and like who has the luck to be healthiest at this time. And conversely, who deals with the injuries the best.
Yep. I just think that in the playoffs, it comes down to, are you really a contender or are you a pretender? And these top 3 seeds in this conference, each conference, has been nearly pretenders.
I think there's something to be said, and the Thunder don't necessarily go by this same blueprint because they do have 2 bigs, and they can play 2. They could play Chet and Hartenstein, and they do play them at the same time often. But like the teams that we've seen this year have a lot of regular season success. We're like predicated on they play a lot of smaller guys, heavy guard rotations, shoot a ton of threes, and like that just has not been a predictor of playoff success.
Yep.
Realistically, not ever until the last couple of years. And it looks like we're shifting back now. All of a sudden, like there was just maybe like a few years where like you could win playoffs by shooting like jacking like 45 threes a game. But it looks like we're going back to the other way where it's like, you got to play defense. You got to keep it in the half court. You got to rebound, be bruising, like be physical. Like it looks like, after a little respite where this finesse ball was kind of leading the NBA, it looks like it's over already. And we're back to like physicality and like brute dominance kind of taking back over, which I'm glad to see.
Yep. I agree.
I don't mean to interject, or maybe we can come back, but did you guys ever talk about Harrington's dad?
Oh, Halliburton's dad?
Halliburton's dad, I'm sorry.
Dad, yeah.
When he got in Giannis's face. Did you guys ever cover that?
Yeah. Go ahead, Scott. You about to go?
I didn't do a video or talk about it really publicly, but like I'm a big Giannis guy. I like Giannis a lot. I end up defending him a lot. I saw his comments after the game. You ultimately could say it either way. You could take either side, I guess, on this. But I saw the way Giannis presented it after the game, and look, he just said like, I'm emotional at that point. The fans no fans should be on the court at that stage. Like emotions are high. Like we just got eliminated in like a last second type setting. Like I'm with him on that. Like I agree with him on that. Like I don't care who the person is, like what relation they are to the player. Like I don't think fans should not be mingling on the court at that stage of a game, like especially one that like goes down to the wire like that, and it's an elimination game.
AOH, what's your thought on the Knicks? Are you there, AOH? You're on mute. I guess not. All right, Nick, are you? I forget. Did you talk on the Knicks or no?
Yeah, I already went. Yeah, I'm pulling for him. Although I got some money on the Pacers, so I'm just watching for fun. Either way is good with me.
See, that's what Knicks fans are doing. They're putting money on the Pacers, but hoping the Knicks win.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the Knicks needed? They just needed a little bit of zest in their lineup with Cat. They just needed the oh my god!
Oh my god!
Just need a little bit of that energy to get over to
First time I saw that video of Cat, I was like, no way he actually talks like this. This must be like an AI thing. And it was like, no, those are real clips. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Cat sounds nothing how he looks, man. This was crazy.
Yeah, it's total. It's hilarious.
I know nothing about it. I've been living under a rock, so I've kept up with the Nuggets because I actually like Jokic, and I haven't kept up with that very well either because I've been very employed on the other side of the world. So it was something that I just haven't had the luxury to keep up with. So with the Knicks, I'm happy that they've gotten this far in the playoffs. However, I don't know really how they got there. Because again, I've been living under a rock, but congratulations, New York. I still hate you because I'm a Sixers fan, but congratulations.
I mean, listen, man, the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers in the 90s played against each other 5 separate occasions, man. This is a legit rivalry. We talk about the New York Knicks and the Chicago Bulls a lot and the rivalry they had. I don't think people really understand. When you mention the word rivalry and you think about the 90s, the New York Knicks had several rivals, all right? They had the Chicago Bulls. Yes, we just talked about, but they also had the Miami Heat rivalry, man. They also had the Indiana Pacers rivalry. They also had a little rivalry with the Detroit Pistons that a lot of people don't really remember in the late 80s and the early 90s, because it was, in fact, the Detroit Pistons that were also knocking them out of the playoffs consistently, not just the Chicago Bulls, man. So they had some rivalries there. We all remember the brawl between the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks back in 1997 and how that derailed their season. There were a lot of people that thought that they might have beat the Chicago Bulls in 97 Eastern Conference Finals. That's how really good the New York Knicks were. The Knicks were really good in the 90s, man. I remember my dad growing up, man, and my mother, her favorite player was Dave DeBusschere, who played for the 70s New York Knicks teams, man. And my dad talking about the New York Knicks, because to me, the Knicks in the 90s were really, really good. But he had to remind me several times, listen, man, the 70s Knicks were the champs, man. That was the last time the Knicks were really great. And it's been a long time since the Knicks have had really any relevancy. This was the first time in many years since the 90s that the Knicks have won back-to-back 50-win seasons. The first time since the 90s, man, when they won 4 or 5 consecutive 50-win seasons, man, from 1991 to 1995, man. So this is really a huge turnaround for the New York Knicks franchise. That's one of the most valuable franchises in the NBA, but it's been one of the most mediocrity-driven franchises in there. At least Boston and the Lakers can say that, they're valuable, but they've been relevant.
Absolutely. Let's get to some of these super chats. And just as a reminder, please hit the like button for whatever video you're watching on any of our channels. And if you like what we have to say, please subscribe to channels that you're not subscribed to as well, so you can see more content from these other creators. So let's get into some more super chats. Exacto Knife for $10 says, people forget that Kobe is the only top 10, top 3 for me, player besides maybe Hakeem to not have any help at all during his absolute prime years of his career, and still got 5 of them things. One thing I got to say is that I don't think that Hakeem's in the top 10, but that's besides the point. Anyway,
that's outrageous. That is outrageous. He's arguably the best big ever, I think. But
somebody's got to get out the way for George Mikan. So anyway.
But anyway, no, this is a great point, because Kobe, whenever Shaq left in 04 and Kobe was whatever, 26, 27-ish, those years were his best years, when he had Smush Parker, Kwame Brown, Chris Mim, Brian Cook, Luke Walton, and those were his legitimate top 6 rotational players. It was just a complete waste. And he was in a Western Conference where it was absolutely loaded. Dirk, Tim Duncan. You had Yal and McGrady on the Rockets. You had it was Steve Nash and the Amari Stoudemire and Sean Marion. Those Western conferences were an absolute thicket. And Lamar Odom was Kobe's only moderately decent player who never made a single All-Star appearance ever in his entire career. A complete and total waste of that guy's prime. And yeah, the same thing happened to Hakeem, because from his age 25 season till 32 or whatever the 95 trade or 96 trade deadline is, or when I think it was 95 trade deadline, when they got Clyde Drexler for the second championship run he had. He had no All-Stars ever around him. And it's just unfortunate, the way timing and happenstance derail these guys' careers, and they just can't get to the ring counts. Hakeem, to me, deserves a lot more than 2 rings. But that's unfortunately situationally, that's all he got to. But that commenter just said, Kobe's still with 5 somehow. That's why Kobe's Kobe,
Yeah, like you mentioned, it's the era that he went against. To get 5 is impressive. Kobe didn't get 2. He didn't get 3. He didn't get 4. He got 5. Hakeem only got 2. But when we say only, we're talking what? We got to put it in perspective, right? A lot of people say, oh, he only got 2. No, he got 2 in the 90s, man. That's why when I say with Will Chamberlain, oh, he only got 2. Who else the hell was winning in the goddamn 60s, man? Come on, man. Stop it right now. You have to put that in perspective, all right? That's what that is. And that's what we talk about, the competition, man. The Michael Jordan, some of these other guys who never won, we talk about why. Because of Michael Jordan, directly because of, once again, what he was doing, man. These guys were great, man. It's not just only 2 for someone like Hakeem Olajuwon. Dart, you continue to talk down on Hakeem Olajuwon, man. It's insane for you to say these things, man. You have to stop doing this, man. The man was legit. Bryant. The dude is, you can't argue against the resume, man. You can't argue against it, man. The facts remain.
Great all-time player, just not top 10 for me. Anyway, the real Donald Trump for $5 Canadian or 51st state US dollars. Quick thanks to guys for all your efforts in going against ESPN and the other dorks. Thank you, real Donald Trump.
Thank you, real Donald Trump.
For real, man. Shout out to all you guys, man. For real,
Mainstream
man.
media.
Big Gucci Trump. Thank you.
Carlo Jacinto Cruz for $7.99. I don't know if it's supposed to be Canadian, but or I'm not sure what it's from.
Australia.
MJ, I don't know. Maybe. MJ coming back to save the NBA from the vermin. That is Ladiddy James. Also, Scap, I know you're stressing out today for Game 7.
What's up, Carlo? Welcome in here. Carlo, a regular on me. Yes, Carlo knows he's on all my live streams after the games. He knows I'm sweating bullets today. He knows I woke up with a pit in my stomach and the butthole's already tight. I mentioned it earlier in the stream. Tight butthole game today, boys. Everybody's buttholes are going to be tight, including mine. Whew, I'm telling you, tight today.
We have mentioned butthole one too many times today, Scap.
The A is Australian, I think.
Scap, you're going to need a new butthole if they win, huh?
I am. I'm going to need a butthole transplant for the next round if they somehow get by today. It's just going to eat
diamonds
itself.
that you create.
Comments of the month for $1.99 says Kobe would have swept Warriors having Irving and Love. That's a good question or a good statement. Maybe.
This is one of, I don't want to get too long in this, but this is one of the primary reasons why I will never have LeBron above Kobe, because LeBron at 26, when he went and joined those teams, that's when Kobe got rid of Shaq, and Kobe was averaging 35 points per game and was first team All NBA defense. You put that Kobe, that 26-year-old Kobe on that Miami Heat team with that age Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, Kobe would have won all four of those. He would have won all four of those series easy. So there's no, I'm just talking Miami Heat. I'm not even talking about, he's talking about the Cavs team that obviously, but I think obviously Kobe would have won. If you just transplant Kobe and LeBron's like supporting cast and their competition, I think LeBron would maybe have had like 1 or 2 rings in Kobe's in his shoes, whereas Kobe would have had probably 8 if he was in LeBron's situation. So that's just one of the many reasons why LeBron ain't close to Kobe.
Comment of the month says Kobe is the best two-way player of all time. I disagree, but I think he's one of the best.
Yeah, he's one of them.
Yeah, I don't want to monopolize this, but yes, Kobe, top 3 to 4 all-time two-way player. I'd say Jordan, of course, and then Hakeem. To me, it's those guys. In terms of dominant offensive, legit dominators offensively, and all NBA first team caliber perennially every year. Those are the 3 main guys that I think of.
Yeah, Will Chamberlain.
Yeah, for sure, Will. Yeah.
H for $1.99 says Scap said Chet and Isaiah are defensive twin towers with the crying laughing face.
I mean, Chet did not play enough games to be qualified for the rankings and stuff. But if you just look at what his net defensive rating was in the games he played, it would be second this year behind Isaiah Hartenstein, who did lead the NBA in total net defensive rating. So, and they're both 2 bona fide long 7-footers. Look, Chet looks like Jack Skellington from Nightmare Before Christmas. So he doesn't have a lot of size on him. But Hartenstein is a legitimate body. He's a big, brutish thug type player, bruiser. So when you can put both of those guys on him, get the size and the meat of Hartenstein, the length and the athleticism of Chet, yeah, that's pretty hard. That's a hard front line to go against, especially when the Nuggets are prone to be a little streaky from the outside in terms of their shooting. So not a lot of they don't really open up the pressure gauge much from Jokic having to go against those two. It's been a tough series for Jokic. He's been fantastic, I think, in 3 games, and he's really struggled in 3 games. They've done a great job on him defensively, I think.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier, like the playoffs, things slow down, like half court matters. And so all these guys with size and length, right? Like that makes a difference in a 7-game series. Like, size does matter, but it definitely makes a difference in the playoffs when you're grinding it out.
Will N super chats for $5 says, imagine next season Cooper Flag comes into a fully healthy AD and Kyrie, Max Christie stepping up his game, and Clay getting his groove back. What do you have to say about that, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, it's been quite a ride the last few months. We've been all over the place. I mean, I still think obviously we lost out on the trade. I'm still not happy with it, but if you were going to reel me back in, getting Cooper Flag definitely helps. So, we're poised, in my opinion. If we keep Gafford, Lively, Anthony Davis, and if Flag plays the 3 there, I mean, that's got to be the best front court in the league, I would think, right? So putting Kyrie at the point, I mean, that's a pretty, solid 5 or 6 man rotation just going off that alone. If, and Lakers fans at the time, right? Lakers fans were saying, you guys will like Christie. He's a nice player. And, obviously it doesn't really make up for what we traded, but they weren't lying. I think Christie is a nice 2-way guy. I think, he's going to take a big step, I think, this next year. And he will be a nice player. I think he will be a solid rotational player. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm still, overall, I'm not happy, but you got me, right? I'm back, right? I think the ownership got let off the hook a little bit. On one hand, I'm a little upset they didn't get punished for what they did, but maybe it is all rigged. Maybe this was the plan all along or whatever. So if getting Flag in return is what we have to do, then all right, I'm back. I'm interested. Let's see what happens.
Hey, Robin, you said you got to get out of here.
Oh yeah, man. Hey, I gotta get rolling, guys. So you guys continue to do your thing, man. I hope you guys have rest of your Sunday goes good. Scab, take it easy, man. Breathe. It's gonna be all right, man. Listen, I picked the Nuggets in 7 before the series started, and the reason I did that is because to me, Nikola Jokic is the best player in the series. So I have faith in him, and his teammates have been playing pretty consistent. And to me, OKC's been a little bit inconsistent. But like you mentioned, Aaron Gordon, if he doesn't play at all, it's a huge loss for them. I think you're right, man. But take it easy. It's going to be all right, man. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of the day, man. You guys continue to think. Yo, Dart, it was great having you back, man. Like I said, I'm glad that you're back, man, for real. It's good to see you. Everybody, Zay, man, Nick, AOH, you guys be good, man. I'll see you guys on the next one.
All right, Robin, have a good week. Have a good rest of your weekend. Good luck to you, Knicks, on Wednesday.
LT for $4.99 says, just here to remind people that LeBron has been dominated by small ball players his whole career. Some examples given are Steph, JJ Barea, Jason Terry, Jamal Murray, etc. Laughing my ass off. Does anyone have any comments for this one? Thank you, LT.
Yeah, I mean, those are some good points. I mean, the Mavericks did deploy Barea on LeBron defensively at times in that 2011 series, which was hilarious. But yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. Those things all did happen.
Well, not only did that happen, but they started by shutting him down with the big ball. Like all that the Spurs had to do was block the lane. And that shut down LeBron. He couldn't get past Dwight Howard. And then when the league changed the rules, then small ball beat LeBron. He's gotten beaten both ways.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a fact.
Yeah, I've always thought the defensive narratives on LeBron were a little overhyped. The whole he can guard any position thing. And I've just never really bought into it. They seem to be very select. They bring up the Derrick Rose gamer series, and then it's just chase down blocks right after that. So I've always thought it was a little overhyped.
With that said, I think he's an overrated defender, but he did in his Miami, like from basically the last year or two in Cleveland, the first stint to the end of his Miami tenure, he was a legitimate, like he was a pretty high caliber defender. But like since then, though, that was like a 6 year span out of 21 or 22. Since then, he's a drastically overrated defender. He typically just doesn't even play defense half the time, resting up for the other side of the ball. So, but credit though to him when he actually was engaged early on in his career, he was a pretty solid defender.
Yeah, to an extent, because if you just watch last year, they tried to hype him up as he could play 1 through 5. But what were the Lakers doing during that period of time? They were fouling. They were letting the Lakers get away with fouling on defense in order to manufacture them into the #1 defensive team since the All-Star break. Like, knock it off. But at the same time, LeBron's defense is predicated on his athleticism.
For sure.
Once his
That's what I was gonna
faded,
say.
you see, hey, most of his plays are chase down blocks. When you can't chase people down anymore, that's where you see players scoring on them with ease.
Right.
The Jesse Glad Saget for $5 says, as a Spurs fan, it makes me love Tim Duncan even more that he kept Steve Nash's spineless self ringless. Thank you, Jesse.
Woo. Good one, Jesse.
That came in when we were talking about Steve Nash and his bootlicking on the podcast.
Did Shaq send that in?
What's that?
Did Shaq send that in? Making fun of Nash. Shaq always gives Nash. He always feels like Nash took one of his MVPs.
True, but we know Nash also stole one of Kobe's MVPs. So
AOH is moving or something. I don't know.
AOH Wrestling Bears.
Will N for $5 says, next to ref 0 so far in the playoffs. Scott Foster is Tim Donaghy's love child. F him.
Yeah, Scott Foster not one of my favorite officials for sure. So I see he gets a couple digs on this in the live chat here. So agreed on that.
It's not that serious. Super chats for $5. Salute to the panel, man. Sports and Fitness Rants got me pumped for the Pacers Knicks series. He got me pumped for it too. I didn't even care about it until he said something. So no, but I want the Knicks to win. But yeah, that was exciting. Will N for $5 says, isn't this the same Pacers roster that struggled and barely beat a skeleton Knicks team last year in 7 games?
Yeah, that's kind of a fair point. Like the Knicks should have, like it was Julius Randle was out hurt. OG Anunoby like pulled his hamstring. Brunson like broke a bone in his hand or wrist or something. Like basically every Knicks key contributor got hurt in that series, and still, yeah, it went 7. So that's a good point. But I think the Pacers are better this year. I think to give them a little bit of credit, and the Pacers I think are a little bit underrated now at this point. They're playing really good basketball, and Halliburton. I mean, Halliburton, he's a young stud. I think I like watching him play.
78 Sports TV says, salute to the panel. Sports and Fitness Rants and 93Z are 2 of my favorite channels. I have the Knicks versus the Nuggets in the finals. What do you have to say about this, Zay?
Hey, salute to 78 Sports TV. I appreciate you sending out the super, but you absolutely wrong, sir. It's going to be Wolves versus Knicks in the finals. I keep telling y'all this.
I hope that guy's right. That's the one. That's the finals I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for Nuggets Knicks. I don't see that happening.
I'm rooting for that one too. Game Craving TV for $5 says NBA needs new criteria for Defensive Player of the Year. First, Gobert, now Mobley. Well, first they have to have criteria for it. So that's not just new criteria. They just need criteria.
Mobley is kind of look, Gobert has 4, believe it or not. But Mobley he was kind of a heralded defender all year long. Like he was in the mix most of the year, but he is kind of a puzzling choice. I didn't think he was going to win it. Obviously, we know Wembanyama would have run away with it. When he was deactivated, he was like minus 2,000 to win that. He probably would have been like a unanimous selection for that award. So it was like it became a little iffy once he went out, and there was like a couple guys. Mobley, I was a little surprised that he won it though.
Yeah, it's like when it first was introduced, like the guards won it first few years, and then it just became dominated by big men. I think it's just because you can see blocks and rebounds on a stat sheet and rim protection in a way, and it's kind of easy to gauge. And for guards, it's kind of like, how do you, what's a metric we're looking here, right? Like how close you were when your guys shot it or you held certain guys to bad shooting nights. I almost feel like they should break it up into sort of like a big man and a guard kind of award, like a perimeter lockdown defender and an interior presence, right? It's such a hard award to gauge, especially for guards.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was just surprised. I honestly, I don't know if you wanted to go with the big man this year. I thought this was a year you maybe could go with a smaller player in lieu of Wembanyama getting hurt. If you were going to go with the big, though, I probably would have leaned towards either, again, Hartenstein, who the Thunder are like a historically great defense against league averages this year. And Chet, I thought was going to be in Defensive Player of the Year talks, but he missed like 50 games. So, and then even without him, they were fantastic. And Hartenstein like kind of anchored them at the time that Chet was out, or maybe even Zubats, because the Clippers were like one of the best defensive teams in the league, especially the last like month and a half. So I thought maybe one of those two guys, I would probably have favored one of them if you were going to go with the big this year after Wembanyama.
Justin Messenger for $1.99 says, gonna call it Knicks in a sweep. That'd be cool.
That's bold. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, that's bold.
No.
That's crazy.
Shades Cal became a YouTube member. I don't know to what channel, but welcome, Shades Cal.
Shout out to Shades Cal.
Scaps Extra Strong Cologne super chats for $4.99. Says the Knicks in 90s were so good they had a Heisman Trophy winner, Charlie Ward, as their backup point guard, and Jokic with a quadruple double tonight. What to say about that?
Scaps Extra Strong Cologne, shout out to you. He's a regular on my channel. If you guys could see the avatar of my face in that he's got there, it's impressive. Impressively bad looking picture of me. Yes, if Jokic has a quad double tonight and the Nuggets win, I will live stream a Jokic tattoo after the game.
No way.
If he has a quad double and they win the game, you can book that. Someone else on my channel suggested he's going to go 50-20-20 in this game. Also, that would be a tattoo inducing moment if he 50-20-20s and they win. They got to win though too.
Would you live stream it or just a video?
I would live stream that for sure.
Nice. All right. Sully's Tech Hub for $2 says G7 takes our buttholes from economy to first class. The word of the day is butthole, everyone.
It's like a butthole black hole right now. Like it's just gonna suck itself in. Like it's just gonna eat my whole body if the Nuggets win this series. Watching two more series potentially. I mean, I think it was Zay that said it. I'm going to need a transplant of some sort. Do they do butthole transplants? You know, we're going to have to do some research on that.
You're going to have a tight butthole inception is what you're saying.
Well, the real Donald Trump for $5 Canadian. The all Donald Trump team: Kidd, Michael Jordan, Kobe, Kevin Garnett, the Dream, bench, Shaq, Dirk, Reggie Miller. No one is beating that team.
Dude, you got to put the Admiral on the team, right? I would think.
So that's the best team. That's the biggest, best team. You've never seen a team better than that. That no team would ever beat that team. Is that what the real Donald Trump is saying? I guess about this team.
The best team ever. No one's ever beaten it. It's fantastic. Yeah. LB for $4.99 says they only mention Halliburton when the Pacers win, but Pascal is underrated these playoffs.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping the Mavs. I was kind of hoping Mavs would get Pascal Siakam when his name was going around, but we didn't.
Siakam was a stud, I thought, in Toronto. He was just like I think a super underrated player all the way back then. I love him. I love his game. I love his the length he has, like the ability he has, like full court presence. I really like. I like him as a player. I have for years.
Feel Good Realty super chats for $5 to someone. Milan over Dream.
He means Mike.
I know. Yeah. I know he does. I have never heard such blasphemy. Dream top 5 for sure. Well, the name is George Mikan, and he did more than Dream ever could dream of. No. No. Yeah, no, he's a fantastic player. It's just not my cup of tea. So George Mikan, I already explained some of the things that he did during his NBA career, let alone he was the reason why the NBA was created in the first place. But let's agree to disagree. Feel good. Yes.
Serious question. Do you have any player that played the majority of their career in this century in your top 10? Any player?
Ooh, no, I don't. Well, yes, yeah. I got Kobe in my top 10.
Okay.
Tim Duncan,
I'd have to. No, I don't have. Even though he's my favorite player, I don't have him
No
as
way.
the top 10 greatest players of all time. Because I think it's different from being the greatest and the best. I think he's better. I think he's better than Kobe. I just don't think that he's greater than Kobe. I think a lot of the intangibles and the things that go along with the culture and all that sort of stuff, Tim Duncan's lacking on a lot of those kinds of things. And he did have a lot of compounding effects over his career, being All-NBA first team, All-NBA defensive team, winning MVPs and championships all in the same year. That's, only a few people in NBA history have ever done that, let alone multiple times. So the aspect of that is fantastic. I just think there's intangibles that, in respect to the greatest argument, I think leaves Tim Duncan out of the top 10. However, I think he's better than somebody like Kobe Bryant and a lot of the guys that I have in my top 10 greatest list.
I bet you don't have. I bet Jordan and Kobe are the only post 90 players that you have. So like 1990, like players that played the vast majority of their careers in 1990 or beyond. So you're saying Jordan and Kobe's probably it for you in your top 10.
90 and beyond. I'd have to look at it. I haven't even thought about it in a while. I've been in the jungle, so looking for Dr. Evil.
That sounds right, though.
Yeah. A lot of them are pre-1990 because I got Magic Johnson, I've got Bill Russell, I've got George Mikan.
I have your list right here if you want me to read it out.
Yeah, read my list. Read my list that I created some time ago.
In order, you got MJ, Russell, Mikan, Magic, Kobe, Kareem, Kuzi, Curry, Chamberlain, and Bird.
What? You have
Curry?
Of all the players you do not have in your top 10 from 1990 on, you have Steph freaking Curry in there. Come on, bruh, please. Come on. Steph Curry over Hakeem. Get out of here.
I'm revamping my list. I've already came up with a new thing. But George Mikan, number 3. That's the real thing you should focus on. But yeah, Steph Curry I put in there. I mean, he beat LeBron 3 times out of 4 when they matched up in the finals. Won another one. That's about as much as my argument goes outside of his 3-point culture bomb that he did within the NBA.
Well, Curry did change the league. He was the only ever unanimous MVP. We can't ignore that.
I think he's a fringe top 10. I personally don't have him quite in there. I think he's like 12, 13 range for me, but like fringe. But like for you, it's mainly just all the players you do not have in your top 10 in the modern-ish era. And then Curry is in. It's just like, that's a little alarming to me. That's all.
Yeah. Shoot the J for $5 says Scap is on point. He goes to bat for Kobe and Hakeem constantly. He's doing the Lord's work. I'm okay with Kobe, but I don't know.
Thank you, Shoot the J. Just on point when we're talking Hakeem slander here. You slide in with this super chat. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Sully's Tech Hub for $20 says, I joke a lot, but seriously, the reason LeBron is an overrated defender is the same reason Jokic is an underrated defender. Not every smart defensive play is going to end up as a defensive highlight play. Highlights do not equal defense.
That's a great point by Sully. Thank you again, Sully. But yeah, I've been talking about it and teasing it. I'm gonna wait till the Nuggets playoff run ends, which is I think likely today, and then I'm gonna do like a recap of Jokic's playoff defense because he gets like the things I hear about his defense is insane to me. Like he's quote the worst defensive player in the NBA. I mean, you're just not watching the games. If you think that like the guy, look, he does not have a good, people say he's a terrible athlete. Okay, look, he is not necessarily blazingly fast and he can't jump a lick. But he is obviously very big, powerful, durable. He plays a lot. He's well conditioned, and he's situationally smart at defense, and he controls the glass for the most part. So I think he gets more slander from the defensive side from a defensive standpoint than I think he deserves. But that's a good point by Sully.
I hear you on that. I just think if you're watching the game, you'll see some plays where Jokic get put out in space. They put him, he's out top of the key somewhere trying to guard, but he can't slide his fucking feet. That's the problem. Like he looks very Luka-ish when he's trying to slide his feet. I think that's,
and he's also, look, he does let things go. Like if there's like a little 2-on-1 under the basket and it's him, like, and a big ends up with it. I mean, he just takes this little like air whip slap at the ball and then just lets them basically lay it up. He's not like an imposing rim presence. Like, I get that. He's not going to block 2-3 shots a game. It's not going to happen. But I do think I think he's better though than people give him credit for being. Like, I make this comparison all the time because the Warriors routinely have had one of the best defensive teams in the NBA from basically like 2014-ish till now. The Warriors are generally top 5-ish in net rated defense. They've been number 1 a number of seasons, including 3 of the 4 title years. They were in the number 1 rated net defensive team. And to me, like, Jokic is a better defender than Steph Curry. It's just that the Warriors found a way. They found personnel and schemes to hide Curry, whereas like the Nuggets, just like Jokic gets more exposed. And it's primarily because their perimeter defenders aren't good. So like a lot of it is they, like, opposing teams just have things going to the basket, and Jokic is just up against it and kind of like left hanging out to dry underneath a lot of the time. So I mean, it is what it is. I'm not saying he's Hakeem defensively. What I am saying is he's like better than Curry, and I'd say like a commensurate defender to Magic. So like people say like the defense that Jokic plays prohibits him from being top 10. I don't think that's the case.
I mean, he's 7 foot tall. He should be better defensively than Curry. He should be able to alter shots, get players to think about it. But, the Warriors, like you said, have done a great job of putting the personnel around Curry to hide that so Curry can play more of the passing lane. You see Curry, he gets his steals because he plays the passing lanes. You know what I mean? But I do think that Jokic could be a better on-ball defender, me personally.
I just wanted to add that George Mikan was one of the guys that helped institute the goaltending rule while he was playing in college. Possibly a greater defender than Hakeem. And there's another great defender here. Only thing Tim Duncan is better at than Kobe is having more help and a better organization from X-Acto Knife for $5. That is just rude and untrue.
I don't know. I think it's undeniable he had a better organization. He had Greg Popovich for all his entire career. Stability from the front of the ownership to the general manager on down. He had, look, David Robinson was at the end, but he wasn't like completely washed when Tim Duncan came in. Robinson was 33 that year. He finished like 12th in MVP that season. David Robinson did 4th in Defensive Player of the Year, the year that Duncan won his first championship. Then look, Duncan didn't really win until then. They get in Parker, Ginobili, and that array of Hall of Famers that were with him for his entire career. Like, look at some of the years. Look at Kobe's, like I said earlier, his prime years, like 26, 27, 28. Look at his later years. Like, look at some of the teams Kobe had when he was like 33, 34, 30. Like, Tim Duncan won a 5th ring with Parker, Ginobili, and Kawhi Leonard. Like, I'd say probably Tim Duncan did have more. Maybe he never had the top line player that Kobe had in Shaq. But look, Kobe had that for 8 years till he was 26, and then that was it. If you look at the totality of Duncan's career, I think there's almost no argument that he had a better like total assortment of players and just a better like support staff from his organization. I mean, the Lakers were absolutely putrid for Kobe after basically after Dr. Jerry Buss ceded control. They stunk surrounding Kobe with what he needed.
So for me, Kawhi Leonard was a young pup during the time. If anything, I think that experience helped mold him into the player he was. He did. He shouldn't have. I think it should have been Tim Duncan, but that's besides the point. Then, I mean, Tim Duncan during that time, he won in 99, 03, 05, 07, and then 14. It wasn't in the three-peat or the back-to-back or anything like that. And a lot of the players outside of David Robinson, and if you want to argue Kawhi Leonard, they were all back-end first-round picks or second-round picks. So Parker and Ginobili were diamonds in the rough, per se. I think more so that Greg Popovich had Tim Duncan than Tim Duncan had Greg Popovich on top of it. And the organization is fantastic. I think if you look at the overarching aspects of both of those organizations, the Lakers and the Spurs, I would think more people would argue that the Lakers had a better organization, especially when Phil Jackson was there for that extended period of time in the 2000s.
Yeah,
I think that most people would agree with that. And then on the back end of it, Tim Duncan only played 5 or 6 more years after that.
But Dart, Kobe played for 10 again. He had Shaq for 8 years of his 20-year career. He had Phil Jackson for like 10 years of his 20-year career. Kobe played for like 8 or 9 coaches in his career. So like other than like the half of the time of his career that he played with Phil Jackson, it was a mess. Like he was playing for a different coach every year. Like it was the absolute textbook definition of upheaval. So it's like give Kobe Phil Jackson for all 20 years and see what happens. Like in the 10 or 11 years that he had Phil Jackson, he went to 7 finals and won 5 of them. And then the other times, like he had garbage players around him mostly and just really untenable coaching situations. So, and he still got the same number of titles though, and went to 1 more finals. He went to 1 more final than Duncan somehow and won the same number. So I don't know. That's just some of the reasons why I have Kobe above Duncan. But again, it's marginal. It's close.
It's his fault. He had different coaches. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that jab in there. 93Z, you said you have to get going.
Yes, sir. I got to get up out of here. We're going to be live for game 7, though. So, I'll be right back. Got to take a little intermission. I appreciate you, gentlemen, for having me on. Shout out to Scap, Nick, AOH, Dart, Robin. Appreciate y'all. We're going to be back next Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you, Zay. Nice officially meeting you. And pleasure being on the show for you with you to this point. So enjoy the game 7.
Oh yeah, I'm be thinking about you during that game 7, Scott. I like it. Hey, yo, it's gonna be fun though. Good luck to the Nuggets. Let's see. Appreciate you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Zay. Have a good day. All right.
We're almost through, guys. We almost have gotten through all of the super chats.
Almost. Humping Badger for 199 says, whoever wins this game tonight wins the NBA Finals. Maybe.
Humping Badger, thank you. What's up? And we've been talking about it back and forth. I don't know. I think you guys could give your thoughts too. I think if the Thunder win, yes, decisively, they're going to win the championship. But if the Nuggets win, I don't know. I just don't think they can even beat the Timberwolves. Maybe they find a way, but I think Gordon misses the whole series. I think he'll miss that entire series. And then Porter Jr. is just seemingly never going to be right. I don't know what it is, some AC joint issue. But he just can't do anything right now out there. I don't see any way they can navigate that series against a team that's beaten them 6 times in a row now. They beat them in games 6 and 7 last year in the semifinals round. And then they were 4-0 against them this season, including the last game that Minnesota beat them. Jokic had a 60-point triple-double on 70% true shooting, and they still lost. So now you're removing Porter and Gordon for a 7-game series. I just don't see any way.
I would say I agree. If the Thunder win, I think they win it all. If the Nuggets win, I think Minnesota probably gets them. I think either way, though, the finals will be a good matchup either way, whether the Pacers or the Knicks win versus whoever they play. But yeah, I'm with you, man. The Thunder looks so good, but we'll see. Them struggling here with the Nuggets makes me a little less confident for sure, but we'll see what happens.
Yep. All right. KLS Gaming for $2 says, I love the content, guys. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, KLS Gaming.
IL Sabeg for $5 says, the guy on the panel that said Olajuwon wasn't underrated, could you please elaborate? Hakeem is the greatest two-way player in history besides MJ. So I guess
That's
yeah,
you,
it wasn't underrated.
That's you, I think. Yeah.
No, I know it's me, but okay, never mind. Anyway, it was just
you said he was like properly rated. You said he was like maybe top 10 or not top 10.
Yeah. So he says Hakeem is the greatest two-way player in history besides MJ. No, I don't think so. I think that Wilt Chamberlain has a way better case of being a better two-way player than Hakeem Olajuwon. I would say Hakeem Olajuwon is probably top 5. You could probably put Kobe ahead of him if you wanted to. You could put MJ ahead of him, and then when you could put Kareem ahead of him possibly. But he is definitely one of the best two-way players of all time. Absolutely.
Look, I will say this about Hakeem. It's hard because, and we're going to be in the same, and I know we're going to get out of here. We've been here long. We hit all the super chats. So thank you guys, everybody out there. But I think the problem with Hakeem is like, he just didn't have the supporting cast throughout the course of his career to properly gauge him from a historical standpoint, which, just to bring it full circle, what we've been talking about today with Jokic, like from Jokic's age 25 to now 30 season, where he's been top 3 in MVP, top 2 in MVP for 5 straight years. Like, look at what's happened though from over the last 5 years. He missed Murray for 2 full playoff runs. He missed Porter Jr. and Murray for one of those playoff runs. Then Murray was hurt last year, and now he's got Gordon and MPJ hurt today. Like, we're driving towards a point where it's like Jokic is only going to have like 1 ring probably when it's all said and done. And it's the same thing happened to Hakeem. So like, you look at Hakeem and you say like, okay, he went out in the first round like basically almost every year, it looks like. He had at least like 7 or 8 first-round exits. But you can make a case at his peak. Hakeem Olajuwon was as good or better than anybody ever, maybe even encompassing Michael Jordan. Because when we saw him, and it's tough because Jordan wasn't in the league those 2 years. But when we saw that first 94 run with Otis Thorpe as his best player, which is outrageous, he won the Defensive Player of the Year. He was league MVP. He won the championship, and he won the NBA Finals MVP. He's the only player ever to do that, including Michael Jordan. Nobody's ever done that in 1 year. He did. Like, his peak is as good maybe as anyone ever. So like, I look at things more so as like a peak a lot of times than as like a total like resume snapshot. That's just the way I do it though. Everybody has their own way of evaluation.
Well, that's I'm going to revamp my list with tangible things, because I think intangibles do matter a lot. But one thing that I discovered over some time is a lot of people like to argue totals. They like to say, well, he won 6 championships, or somebody will say, well, John Havlicek won 8 championships and didn't lose any, went to 8, won them all. However, if you look at the totality of his career, not just him, but others like LeBron James, if you list them out, he's gotten a lot of these single awards over time. And not to say that he didn't have them compounding, but I think when you compound all these awards together, if you win a scoring title, a championship, an MVP, an all-star MVP, first team all NBA, first team all defense, I think that matters more in the totality of your career than versus having more of a total of one of them when you're not doing that thing 6 times or X amount of times that Michael Jordan did that. I forget how many with the All-Star Game MVP. I think at least 2, but you get what I'm saying. The point of it is that that's the thing that makes Hakeem impressive for a lot of people. And a lot of people like to just argue total numbers in respect to a career, which I think is wildly misrepresenting the actual career. Because with LeBron, he's still winning all NBA awards and all-star awards, but that's it over the last 4 years or so. So what is that? It's still a fantastic career, but when you go and you put it up against the all-time greats like Michael Jordan or others, or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or others that are winning those same things, but more compounded over that span of a career, I think it matters to do all of those things in 1 year versus just having more over a total length of time. But that's just me. Anyway, I think that's the last super chat. Nothing's come in more. I want to thank you all for coming. Thank Sports and Fitness Rants and 93Z who have left earlier. Nick, do you have anything left for the people before we go?
Nothing. Yeah, we'll see what happens with this Game 7 tight butthole. So we'll see who wins.
AOH, are you there?
I'm here. Hello.
Long time no see.
I'm looking forward to the game today. I really am. And the rest of the playoffs.
Awesome. And Jay, you have anything for the people?
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be a crazy day today. I think Game 7s are I think from a historical standpoint, like Game 7s are impactful for people's legacies overall. And I didn't look this up before, and I don't know off the top of my head. I think like Michael Jordan played in maybe like 3 or 4 Game 7s in his whole career. I think Kobe played maybe 3 or 4 that I can think of off the top of my head. This is Nikola Jokic is 30 years old right now. He'll be 31 in February. This is his 7th Game 7 already. He's 4-2 in those games at this point. I mean, I think it's going to take a Herculean effort for them to win today. It's not just tongue in cheek. I know a lot of people think that I'm confident or whatever, or I'm just building up the drama for if if Jokic wins, what it would mean. But I think it's going to take just an insane effort for the Nuggets to somehow win this game. So I certainly am not expecting it, but I'm obviously hoping and rooting for them. And hopefully everyone that's still left, thank you for being here, obviously, and turning out. I hope all of you will be thinking of my butthole today during the game.
Hey, Scap, you know what, you and Robin were going back and forth earlier, Robin praising Murray, and not that Murray hasn't been pretty good, but you also calling him clutch, but you also pointed out he missed 9 of his last 10 when he played a lot of minutes, and now everybody on the panel agreed that he's going to have to play a lot of minutes. So is that a pretty scary sign?
Oh, for sure. And look, Murray has been great and all playoffs and in this series. But what are we talking about? 22 points per game right now on 41% shooting for 6 games of this series. Like, that's what it is. Like, that's Jokic's great secondary option is Jamal Murray, 22 points and 41% shooting right now. And
Jesus,
now
LeBron's getting those numbers.
Say it again?
LeBron was getting those numbers.
Right. And now with Gordon out and Porter Jr. a shell of himself, it's literally Christian Brown is now the next best player on that team. So like that's what we're asking Nikola Jokic to go into the Lions den today against the teeth of that defense. And it's obviously, look, I've said earlier for Shea, I would probably let Shea just go. I would try to focus on everybody else if I was Denver. There's no doubt we know what the Nuggets or what the Thunder are going to do against the Nuggets. Like, we've seen it all series long. They're going to put 3 guys on Jokic and just dare anybody to make any shots today. And so that's what it's going to be. So basically Jokic is going to feel it out. If the guys are making shots early, he'll keep feeding. Otherwise, he's just going to have to start forcing it and shoot 25 times on triple coverage, and it might look kind of bad for him today.
Exactly.
But that's just the arrangement he's had for basically his whole career. And it's just more of the same today, unfortunately, for him.
Yep.
Self-research NBA facts. I have not been ignoring you. I see that you have I think I accidentally, after I invited AOH, I don't think I sent the link out to you, but you're welcome next week to come on. I apologize. It was unintentional, but I now see this. But I dropped the link if you want to come up and say hi real fast, but we're about to end this thing. We got 3 more super chats that came in. One of them was to my Cash App from Jamal for $15. It said, "Welcome back from the jungle." Thank you, Jamal. I appreciate it. And then there's Feel Good Realty for $5 says MJFF. I think he must be referring to Michael Jordan fans are the best. Have you watched Thinking Basketball's Greatest Peak series? I have. And I also realized during that time that he is an avid LeBron James fan and a LeBron James who's the GOAT guy. Listening to his Michael Jordan version of it and then his LeBron James and others version of it. So, and then real fast, Jim, before you come on, Kothless for $1.99 says Jordan is a bum fool.
Wow.
Well,
That's a good one. Well, argument made and won. I don't know how we come back.
I'm now rethinking my entire position.
Yeah,
on this
compelling
whole
argument there. Really good.
You
thing.
left
I've
out
been right
Hater.
this whole time.
Jim, welcome, Jim.
Hey, thanks. I didn't need to come on. I just wanted to say something real quick about the whole, you guys were talking about George Mikan. Well, you were. Did you know that in the middle of the three-peat that George Mikan had, they actually, the Lakers got beat by the Harlem Globetrotters? Did you know that?
I did. That was he'd go off and him and the Lakers would go out ahead of a lot of the teams and do exhibition games. So yes, they lost, I think by 1 point, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the world champions. And look, Mikan's fine. I mean, I understand why you like him and all, but for me, he didn't really get to see that decline, like play in his 30s. I think, say, like Kobe, for example, if he would have retired after 2010, people might view him different because you didn't see the decline, the injury, all that kind of wrapped up a nice little bow. But with him, you never really got to see that because he didn't even play NBA in his 30s. So he kind of had just a shorter career. That's just always been my take on Mikan. Great player, obviously, the original OG superstar. But that's why I could never put him near the top 10. But,
Jim, everyone agrees with me. Mikan should be top 10. So why don't you lay on the other reasons why he should be out of it? No. No, I mean, it's all valid points and all of that. I think that again, a lot of the reason why I have George Mikan up there is because of the intangibles. And really, a lot of it is just to bring some credence to a lot of these guys in the past that are just washed over because people don't understand relevance, that people can only play people in their time. People don't understand time and space. A lot of people.
No, I agree. Right. And Mikan did have a nice team like Vern Mickelson and Jim Pollard and Slater Martin. Those guys are all in the Hall of Fame, all nice players. And maybe a lot of it's because they won so much being on that team. You know, maybe the Michael Cooper effect or something like that. That's possible. But he did have a nice squad as well. But I'm not hating on Mikan. He's definitely an all-time great for sure. But I wanted to say to Scap, because I know how much of a Kobe fan he is, did you know that Kobe has the most blowout losses in closeout games of any all-time great? I don't know if you knew that or not.
I
I'm
mean,
talking-
what is up? Self-researched NBA facts. I did not know that it was the most. I know his whole career, so I know all of the games. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you're probably the obviously the Suns game 7. The
Any
Celtics.
player that I researched hundreds of them. Kobe Bryant has the best record of anybody.
Jim, no. You have terrible Indiana service.
Jim, I really wanted to hear that.
Maybe.
You hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah. Of
Okay.
the hundreds of players you researched and then you cut out.
Okay. With the series tied 2-2, Kobe is 11-1, and that's better than anybody you're going to find. Anybody.
That is a good factoid. 11
Exactly.
And as we know, 81% of teams all time that win that game 5 when it's split 2-2 go on ultimately to win the series. So that's
Right.
winning time in game 5 there.
Yeah, that's powerful. So it's like if it gets to 2-2 for Kobe, it's over. And it's not even he's got the lead, just tying you. So whoever gets the 2 wins, it's over. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I didn't know he was that much better. I mean, that much better than anybody. I think maybe Russell and the Celtics maybe had something like that. But post-merger, it's only Kobe. I think Jordan was like 8-3 or something like that. But I didn't know if you knew that. I was just want to find out if you knew that.
I did not know that. That is a great fact. Thank you for that.
All right, absolutely. That's it, Dart. That's all I wanted. Thanks for dropping the link.
Absolutely, Jim.
Jim,
You're
thank
welcome. You're welcome
Thank you
next
for
week
coming
if
on.
you'd like to come.
Okay, you guys enjoy your Sunday.
All right. Have a great day.
Thanks,
You
Jim.
too. Bye.
All right. So everyone else backstage, sorry, but I'm not letting you on. We're shutting this thing down. But I appreciate you guys calling in. We've been running this thing rather long today. One thing I want to bring up is that on Friday nights at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm starting off a debate show. Me and T Perfect, because we are Hawaii based. We're going to be
T Perfect's in Hawaii too.
Yes.
Oh,
I would have invited you guys, but I figured midnight or 3 a.m. to go do a debate show with me on Friday nights is a little bit of a hard ask. So I just didn't ask. Anyway, so we're going to start doing that on Fridays this week. If you'd like to check it out, it's going to be called Lights Out. Friday Night Lights Out. We're going to be debating who's greater, Kobe Bryant or Tim Duncan, who's better, Larry Bird or Magic Johnson, and who's more dominant, Wilt Chamberlain or Shaquille O'Neal. So come check us out if you're a night owl or you're somewhere else in the world where you're able to watch it at a relatively decent time. And if not, you can watch it on the back end if you're interested in watching sports debate.
Dart, is that all one show? Those 3 topics in one show?
Yes.
Man, that's like a 7-hour show right there.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot.
So it's going to be 3 rounds, 2 minutes each, and we're going to have people voting on who won for each one of those. So whoever wins the most out of the 3 wins the night. So
Okay.
Check it out.
All right.
But yeah. All right. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, AOH. Thank you, Scap. Thank you for the people that came. Thank you for everyone that super chatted or became a member. As a reminder, if you're still here, please like whatever video you're on. Subscribe to everyone else's channel if you like what you had to see here. And frankly, Michael Jordan fans are the best.